So it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. Fight for what's right, fight for your life.
Brother.
Airborne, everybody, how we doing?
What's going on?
It's hump day.
It is. Let me, so we're live right now on the backup channel as well, I think. If somebody can verify that. Actually, yeah, there's about 60 in the room. Kind of a slow, it's Wednesday, hump day. Let me get the chats on here. There they go. Be above Woodman's head. Yeah, so I launched off, and for some reason there was the old the backup channel, I should say, not old, but the backup channel. So we're live on our main channel, we're on the backup channel, and then over on Periscope and Twitter. So we're beaming out four different ways right now. If somebody can verify the backup channel, the Patriot Hour 2.0 is actually live, that'd be great, because it's been 6 or 7 months. So I'd like to, you know, since we've done anything over there. So
been a while.
So we'll, what do you think, what's going on? What, you heard anything about Kenosha, Woodman? Or Wisconsin
No, not
up
really.
there? The shooting?
No, I do. Well, yeah, but I do know, you know, burning, looting, all that jazz all over the place. 2 deads, all I kind of remember, but it's the same scenario. I mean, you know, of course, now the National Guard's coming in tonight, so, you know, for additional help. But these people have got to straighten up. Quit tearing up your neighborhood. You know, they have out-of-towners come in. They don't care because it's not their neighborhood. They'll tear the crap out of it, burn it all up, the stuff, and then they get paid and shoot, down the road they go, you know. Unbelievable. And the governors and mayors, come on, why don't you protect your people? I can't get over that fact, Mike. I'm so sorry.
Well, and you know, we'll get into it a little bit here. So, and I did a video. I know I was talking to Woodman right before this. I was trying to get a video out. We had plans to go around 9 o'clock. About 8:30, I popped off a 16, 17 minute video where I just talked, and for some reason, even with hitting the record, the video vanished. Never in my life have I seen that. I don't know. I do not know how that was read, and then I unclicked read, and it told me 16 minutes and 40 seconds, and then where that video landed. Because when you, I did another test. I hit record for 2 seconds and stopped it, and the video showed up right in front of me as I had the window open to see where they land. But for some reason, the 17-minute one, 16-minute one didn't. But I kind of talked about this. The logic, Woodman, is gone out of this country. We're dealing with the really young generation, and I would say, you know, some of these people out there are like the 18-year-olds to the mid-20s. And then what you get with even the older people at home, all the sports are turned off. It seems like all these people now turn their attention to the real news, which they should have been doing their whole lives, but now they're doing it. I'm happy for that. But now they're narrating it like they would football or you know, and they're picking teams now. It's like they already determined that they hate cops. So no matter what story comes out now, it's, look what they did. That guy yesterday, and I'm not saying he deserved to be shot 6 times or 2 days ago. You know, depending on the cop and their amount of training, and have they ever shot a gun in the actual police force, you know, on the job, not during the police academy, and if they're prior service. But, you know, if you're prior service, you might have a little bit more training coming in, at least in you. But some of these guys are not prior military. They've never shot a gun. And so I wouldn't want to deal with, again, any cop that has a gun drawn. So the background of this story is the guy that got shot. I mean, there was a domestic dispute call. Somebody called the police on this guy from that area. Like somebody called the police because they wanted the police to show up because this guy was yielding a knife. And I don't know if he had priors of domestic battery or if that's what this call was over, because it's still unclear, but we're looking into all of it. But what I did see is a whole nother video that came out already, because the first one that came out, you know, was more just showing this guy walking around, and the cops did already have their guns drawn. But so any time, Woodman, like if you got pulled over or if you're at some property and you're the main subject of something, like something's going on and you know yourself that the cops got called, people are yelling, "What's going on, the cops?" And then they show up and you got 4 or 5 cop cars, 4 or 5 cops, guns are drawn, and they're telling you, don't move. Where did the logic go with that? Where, you know, people are arguing that they're like, look at this guy, he's walking away. They're almost acting like he's trying to avoid the cops and he's just minding his own business, walking away. But it's like, no, there's a whole bunch more pretense here. As the cops were racing to the scene, they're getting reports over the radio. Guys yielding a knife, domestic battery. They need, this guy's got priors. We got a name. They gave us a name over the phone and we're pulling up this. They're probably slamming stuff into the police talk and the cops are just racing there, hearing it all. Knife. There's also reports that he or somebody, maybe on the phone, was saying that he had a gun, or that he was saying that he had a gun in his car. So you get all that. You show up on the scene, all you know as a cop is you're confused, you're jumping out, and you got the, you know, and it looked like in this other video I saw they were wrestling. So there was a wrestling thing going on the other side of the police car. Nobody shot the guy then. There was like some close quarters wrestling. He ends up getting up and wanting to walk around the passenger side to the front. And that's when the 2 or 3 cops are following him the whole way. And it just looks odd to me that if you have cops trying to subdue you and you're the main focus of this thing for showing up and they're telling you, stop, stop, and you're just cutting to your car and everyone's like, well, look, there turned out to not be no gun. But sure, oh boy, on that tape, it looks like if you have a cop with a gun on you, you don't make quick movements. You don't go to grab behind you. It's like, oh, just, you know, oh, he's just throwing in his wallet. That happens because the cop wants to make it home too. They're trained to, you know, it's like if you were cutting into doors on terrorists overseas and you've seen these movies, but if you take it out of the movie level and just go to real, where you're coming down, you got your assault rifle, you know, that's what they want to call it, your AR-15, and you get it pointed to somebody on the couch. And it's a terrorist, and you're like, don't move. And he's got his hands up like, oh, I'm not moving. But if he puts his hands down, just stands up, right, and goes to walk around the house, you're not going to like get your gun and just fall. What are you doing? Where are you going? Stop. I told you to stop. And then he picks up a cell phone, and you're like, who are you calling? Stop it, stop it. And then he dials a few numbers, and the whole house blows up. You wouldn't, you know, and people go, that's a different scenario. No, I'm saying we're all taught at a young, early age, when, like cops or not, when you're dealing with them, or if you're the subject matter, how is anything that guy did? I don't know all the thing. We're gonna have to see more. We have to wait. But people are so quick to rush. And what you do see from the main tape floating around is cops chasing him from the passenger side. That one camera that somebody started recording didn't get it all, or it's been selectively edited. But all you see is him walking around the front, and the cops following him. At that point, there's already been, you know, if you don't know because you're not logical, there's been a whole bunch of other stuff already happened. But they're telling him, stop, stop, stop. And he just gets on going, gets to his side, opens the door, goes to lean down onto the door. What would you, and now the guy's right behind him. It's like, did he have to shoot him 6 times? I don't agree with that. I don't know the guy level of training with that cop there that wanted to, you know, let him get all the way to the car. And then it was like, now I'm really scared. And he's reaching in, pop, pop, pop. And you've heard these things like, he's got a gun in the car. Now they didn't find one. Everyone's like, hey, they didn't find one. So there was no gun. That he was wrong. What do you do? Do you wait for the gun to be brandished and then maybe one of your fellow cops to get shot and then you shoot him? This would never have made the story then, or it would be the cop's foolish. He let his partner get shot. There would be all these other things that would come out. So anyway, that's my little take on it. I know I just rambled for 5 minutes, but what do you think?
Well, I speaking from experience, being a military policeman in the military, of course, military is a whole lot different than civilian scenarios, but in one instance, there was this one, we were doing a traffic control point, checking for someone who had just robbed a bank. Now, this one individual ran it. So my partner uh, took out his 45 and emptied it into the car. Uh, didn't hit the guy, but was caught later. Ended up being that was the getaway car, and that was the person who robbed the bank. Back to the other scenario that this individual was involved with. I can tell you right now from firsthand experience, anybody, any any policeman out there, they have such a hard job. They really do. Anytime they approach anyone, in the back of their mind, they have to realize, in the back of their mind, they have to realize that person that you pulled over or you're confronting could be armed and dangerous. You don't know this individual. So you got to keep that stuff like in the ready mode, I guess you'd say, like in the ready mode, ready to go. Treat them like they are, your best neighbor, and take it from there. You leave it up to the individual to respond their own way naturally. Now, if you want to combat, uh, we could do that. If you want to try and go for a weapon, I'm shooting you. That's just how we were trained. If they go for a
Why,
weapon,
why so do or die like that, Woodman?
well,
Because
here's
what do
the
you
thing.
as a
Here's
cop
the
or,
it
or
boil,
military, you're trained to make sure you live. It's always that. So
it boils down
every
to this. If it boils down to this, if an individual wants to cross that line and go for any kind of a weapon against any police officer anywhere actually in the world, they have went over the line, and they are now in a threatening mode, and you could be killed with the
now this guy, I don't know if
little
he died.
box knife,
I don't think he died. He got shot 6 times or talking about all this, but he didn't die. He's actually
No,
like I don't
he's
think.
paralyzed. He's
Okay.
paralyzed. But my point is this: these people, this is the repercussion of spare the rod, spoil the child. They don't have any conscience, uh, and they just expect to get away with everything or whatever they do.
These to me are more false flags. Like the media can't they can't control it anymore, Woodman. They can't make anything else up. So what they're doing is latching on to these shootings and trying to make them into false flags and bombard the narrative like they did with that Nick Sandman, that just got paid for the whole. But here's the video. Watch it. Look at him. They got guns on him. He drawn. Look at him. Nah, I'm not listening
Yeah.
to nobody. So why isn't everyone
Now look,
outraged?
see, look
Now I
at
get
reaching
that.
the
Look, he's
car.
holding pat. Yeah, oh yeah. We get it.
He's reaching in the car.
Right here. Who does that?
Why would he go to the other side of the vehicle, open the door, and get in there? When the
I'm
policeman's got his, I
if
don't
it's
get it.
brandished. See now, look, and then the person recording this is like, "Oh man, they done shot him. They done shot him." But it's like,
Yeah.
who does that? If I had cops, 2, 3, what I'm seeing there, following him from the other side of that car. Why is this dude just walking like, no, you're not gonna arrest me. I'm getting in my car. I'm gonna drive away, or I'm gonna reach in my. From what I'm hearing, there was a bunch of talk about there was a gun in the car.
No, he's bending over. He's not trying to get his ass in the car. He's bending over.
Uh huh.
He's reaching for something. Why do that? Why do that? Why do that? Cooperate.
There was a cop back here in the back too. So there was at least 3 there. Now they're acting
Why
all
do that?
upset. But
Why
now
do
let's
that?
go to. I'm just saying, where's the knowledge to not when the cops are trying to tell you to not move, that you just keep moving. Well, that's one thing. Well, you don't know
What is the word
that
cooperate?
goes. Here's a new video that shows this whole struggle on this side. See, so look, it's after a struggle and resisting that he ends up popping up and then walking around like, I'm going to my car, and they already think he might have a gun in there because that's the rumor on the street. See? And now we've had 2 people get killed in Kenosha and all the rioting. More people are dead than what initially happened in that case, which looked to be some kind of domestic violence situation going on. Cops get called to that situation. The guy doesn't want to stay on the ground. He wants to fight and get away and run to his car door. Huh.
Crazy.
But everyone's got the quick judgment of another police brutality.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Ham it up, and then destroy everything like that. Come on. Plus 2 lives were taken. Why does it balance out taking 2 lives, burning and all that stuff for one let's just say bad incident, because we don't know the facts yet, you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
What a trade-off.
It doesn't matter with the media on the facts. They want to rush and get in control of those narratives. So we got to rush and get in control of them first. That's the only chance we have at this point anymore, folks. That's why we're here. Not like we're going to control the narrative. We're going to control the narrative is right by getting that damn truth out and helping them calm down to rationalize and be logical. New documents are coming out now revealing the Minneapolis medical examiner would conclude George Floyd that he died from a drug overdose, not from,
Fentanyl.
Now think about it. All this whole damn country's done rioted. This is what set it off. And we're talking about calming down and holding on and getting the facts. New documents reveal Minneapolis medical examiner would conclude George Floyd died of a drug overdose. Former football star Herschel Walker is getting called Uncle Tom because he supports Donald. I mean, the real tolerant left. Anytime there's a black man that's logical, that's pretty smart and says great things, or he's an Uncle Tom, he don't represent me. Well, which one represents you? The one out in the street rioting, or what represents you most?
Crazy.
A lot of low IQ floating around out there.
Spare the rod, spoil the child, man. I want it my way. I want it my way. Why can't I have it my way?
It's funny.
Why did you shoot me? I was only going to get a knife. I can only stab you with that. Come on,
So the Kenosha man shot while resisting, the video we just watched, was wanted on felony sex crime charge. He was extensive. He has an extensive criminal history. That doesn't mean he need to be killed. They're burning the city over him, though. And this is what we're talking about. Sure. I lived in Kenosha for many years, by the way, Woodman. That's where I finished up my military career at.
Oh, wow.
So, I just lived, I drove into North Chicago every day. I decided to live over the border there, and that first town over the border was Pleasant Prairie, and then you had Kenosha, and then right after Kenosha is Racine, but I lived right in Kenosha. The Kenosha man who was shot in an officer-involved shooting on Sunday has a lengthy criminal history and appears that he was wanted by authorities on various arrest warrants, one of them for a felony sex crime when he was shot by Kenosha police. Jacob Blake was shot while resisting arrest on Sunday. Video of the event shows Blake walking away from police officer and opening his car door. Police officer shoots him multiple times when it appears he's retrieving an object, conceivably a weapon. The Kenosha police shooting earlier today, the man was shot after he appeared to be retrieving something from his vehicle. A Kenosha County judge approved an arrest warrant for Blake last month on the basis of 3 criminal charges filed against him by the district attorney. It appears that Blake is currently wanted on felony charge of third-degree sexual assault, domestic abuse, criminal trespassing, and domestic assault. So if you get a call, and all those things are popping up on that warrant, by the way, you know how that goes down, folks. They showed up there, already heightened, already hearing, oh my God, he's yielding a knife, by the way. A lot of these stories are I believe that it was in his hand. If you zoom in on that video and he's walking in front of the car, he's already got the knife in his hand, maybe, or I don't know, but.
Oh no, they killed a neighborhood hero. He was, he went around and gave, turkeys out to people on Thanksgiving and give little kids, Christmas presents all over the neighborhood. That kind of guy. Yeah, okay.
So initial reports had indicated that Blake had been merely breaking up a fight So maybe it was one of those things where there was something else going on. The police show up. So it says initial reports indicated that Blake had been merely breaking up a fight before the shooting incident, but it's more probable that the Kenosha police were executing the warrant for his arrest. Blake had been booked into Racine County Jail on 2 occasions in 2015 and 16, with both incidents involving separate sets of criminal charges. He was most recently booked into jail on charges of domestic strangulation, battery, felony bail jumping, and disorderly conduct back in 2016. A charging document from 2015 alleged that Blake pulled a gun during a bar fight, only for the magazine to fall out. A charging document from 2015 alleged that Blake pulled a gun during a bar fight, only for the magazine to fall out. So the magazine fell out. The Racine County Eye reported upon attempts of the Racine police to apprehend Blake with the use of a canine dog.
Ooh-wee.
Blake pulled a gun on a guy in a bar fight in 2015, and the mag fell out. The guy was the guy was a repeat felon, wanted on sex crime charges. It's not that surprising. The police feared he was reaching for a weapon when he resisted arrest.
Exactly.
With a past like that, yeah, no, I mean, and I'm not saying that the guy deserved to be shot 6 times. All right,
I agree.
I'm saying how foolish of yourself. Take a little responsibility here. To have all that as your past, and then to do what you just did that I saw on camera. Other people, I watched the camera. It was a pure abuse of the police. When do you justify somebody wrestling with the police on the other side? Now you could bring that other tape into it. People, well, I didn't know all that. Of course you didn't, because you're a moron. You didn't think. You didn't logically think to keep your mouth shut until you saw everything. Now that we can see a little more, you can say, well, he's over there wrestling. Somehow, some way, with 2 other officers. Luckily, their guns didn't get taken. I mean, at the point you start wrestling with a cop, you can expect to be shot. You know, unless you have your own gun and you plan on shooting back at them, and it's just going to be something like that. I don't know what else you're trying to do. I was just wrestling with them to get away so I can get up on my feet, get over to my side of the car, get in it, and take off. Well, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So there was a whole bunch of, well, he didn't deserve to be shot, and all these other things. Well, it's like somebody was bound to get shot or hurt at that point.
Well, you should fire your weapon to subdue the individual. You don't take their life. That's still a life.
And he's not. Yeah, and he's not dead. I don't. Yeah, that guy. It could seem like they waited to the last minute because all you see is him grabbing onto the shirt and the dude's darting, like you said, bent down, almost like there's something in the side door. But he just had him by the shirt and it was just like pat, 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 and at that point you think the first one went off. For that guy, it could have been the most. At that point, now he knows he shot somebody, and then it's just that my finger just keeps going. You know, he probably squeezed it 6 times after it was empty.
It's unfortunate because the cop did kind of like, you know, he lost his nerve. You know, like he freaked out.
Mm-hmm. He probably don't want to be a cop no more after all this. I'll tell you what, I don't know. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate for everybody involved. Now the guy is, you know, paralyzed, like you said. Yeah, I mean,
we don't know if it's permanent or not.
But you see this lawyer of his get up on TV yesterday and just go, you know, and really act like he was just an upstanding citizen, just, you know, caught up in the mix, and he didn't do. And it's like, that is not the narrative.
All right.
I watched it myself, and there's other people saying I watched it. It was a racist killing. I didn't see that at all. I saw a guy resisting. It looked like from the one side of the vehicle, the cop, all 3 cops that you can see cut in that clip have guns. So there's at least 3 cops, guns pointed on you.
Right.
And it's just one of them things where somebody's walking like, I don't care, shoot me. And then they finally do. I mean, and you can, well, he's just walking peacefully away. But
crazy, man.
And I don't think so. I think there was a whole little scuffle on the other side of that vehicle, folks. And at that point, you got to imagine any cop is definitely furious, you know, like, from my own experiences, just mouthing off a little bit to cops gets them all riled up to where they probably want to shoot you. So why would you, you know, not that every cop's that way, but you don't know. You don't know the level of these people's experience. So you know, would just want to sit there peacefully and say, oh, I'm not I'm not going down like that. I'm not going to be all subjective and submissive to these police. It's like, well, typically they got a gun drawn on you or something. Why would you? I just don't, I guess.
What's wrong with cooperating? Good Lord, man. That, for one, it
Well,
takes
if he
less
cooperated,
time.
they were going to execute this warrant for all these other really bad things he did, Woodman, that he was in trouble
Well,
for.
too
So
bad.
that's why he didn't want to cooperate, because it was one of them. It could have been one of them stupid things where he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, man, I'm wanted. They're out there looking for me. But then all of a sudden, because you're wanted and you're in that crowd, now you're at the wrong place, and there's some other crap that goes down, and you were just doing the right thing and broke this fight up. Maybe that's what it was. And then when the cops show up, they're like, well, hold on now. They see him wrestling and they think he's a guy, and everyone's like, no, it wasn't him. It was these two. He was helping. And he's like, yeah. And then they let him go and like, okay, what's your name? What's your name? And they get his name, and then they run it. And it's like, well, we need to arrest you anyway, because, it's one of them things. And then he ends up shot, and everyone's like, this is crazy. So there could be some outrage there, but
Well,
still look like
why don't
there
he
was
take
a lot of
responsibility for his
resistance.
own life? Why don't he take responsibility for his own life and clean up his own act? What's wrong with that part of it? Everybody, they forget to look at that aspect of it. I can't believe people are like that.
Well,
You
and that's
know,
where people
come
like,
on.
the minute like something like this happens, nobody wants you to bring up this past. Like, that doesn't, what does that have to do with this man getting shot today? And it's like, well, with the police being involved a lot, because your history's a lot with them when they're on their way there, and again, we're gonna wait a little longer. It's even talking with you about this has become clear. We don't know everything. We don't know the whole
Right.
background of it all. Why? How could we? We weren't there. But logic tells you. I know you wouldn't act that way, Woodman, if you were the main focal point. I mean, unless you're on some crazy drugs or maybe really, really drunk and you're not paying it, that's where you don't listen. Sit down and you're like, no, I'm going to stand up. And that's how people get sometimes. It's like, whatever you tell them, they're going to do the opposite.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
we're
else?
not like that, Michael.
No,
I can't foresee that happening with people like us, but
we don't carry ourselves like that.
uh,
Hillary Clinton urges Joe Biden to not concede on election day under any circumstance.
yeah, whatever.
Because she still hasn't from the last one. So it's funny they keep asking Trump, is he going to accept the election results if he loses? They did this last time. And but yet they haven't. They still haven't accepted the 2016 one for this one. Are you guys, if I win this one, will you guys finally accept the 2016 one? If I win this 2021 too, will you finally go back 4 years and accept that one? Because you haven't yet. But it's all about him and him if you lose narrative. And
Yeah.
we're seeing that, right? I mean,
Well, they want the norm back, Mike.
Yeah.
They want the norm back, Mike. And he's cut him off. He wants to, they want their norm back. Holy cow.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Do not concede. So all of us, or a lot of us here, did you guys get to see the First Lady, do her little, it was awesome, actually, last night.
I missed it.
So let me,
I was going to watch it this morning, but it was about a half an hour. I had to get other things done.
the video killed the radio. So we got,
Hey, James, Neil, how you doing, buddy?
I think we
See you in
went,
the house.
5 hours yesterday. So again, we'll be doing the RNC tonight. If you want to join in on that, we'll be doing that. I think it's probably at 7. I'll make sure I'll go probably about 7 o'clock tonight. And other than that, we got another live show coming up here just in a little bit after with me and Woodman here.
Well, while you're digging it up, let me go over a little information here. The
Yes.
bacon lady that came to the Patriot Fest, for other reasons I'm not going to say, she ended up leaving her car in Kokomo, Indiana, and she lives in a place called Livermore, Kentucky. It's a western part of the state. Her name is Natalie, and I'm going to pronounced her name as Meuse. Phone number 270-543-1232. 270-543-1232. All the Patriots down there merged together. All she wants to do is get her car, take her from up there to, take her up to Kokomo, get her car. Done deal. Not much for a Patriot down there. Would be kind of a hassle for me. I'd have to go all the way down there where she's at, pick her up, come all the way back up to Kokomo, Indiana, then take her back down to her house and come all the way back up to where we live. So we're going to rely on you local Patriots.
So all she needs is a ride from her place back to the car. That's it. The car is fine. She just needs a ride.
That's the way I take it. So, call her and find out. It's just a ride, people. Just help her get a car.
Yeah. So if you guys can help, let us know. And Woodman gave the number there. We'll do everything we can. Follow back up with us. Let us know how it pans out. Okay, I'll show this First Lady since Woodman missed it, and then we'll come back and finish up the show. But here you go, Woodman.
Thank you, Mike.
Happen to have it recorded. Let me see if I can.
Think big and do all they can to be best in everything they do.
This is her showcasing what she brings to the position of First Lady.
She is smart, independent, and I think people have underestimated her big time.
The First Lady was amazing. She was gracious, empathetic, and showed true compassion.
First Lady Melania Trump stepping out onto the world stage.
Her Be-Based campaign is now going international.
She has the advantage of speaking several languages. She can be a diplomat for our country.
The sun was shining. She was greeted by children. This, of course, is her continuing to work on her Be Best campaign by shining a spotlight on successful programs that teach children tools and skills.
She represents our country with enormous warmth and elegance.
Our voices.
It was a very important moment for Melania Trump.
This was a really prominent week for her.
The iconic White House Rose Garden has been renovated for the first time in 60 years.
When the history books are written, there should be a special chapter reserved for our First Lady.
She is an incredible First Lady.
An amazing mother, an incredible woman, First Lady Melania Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Melania Trump.
It seems like just yesterday that we were at our first convention, where my husband accepted the Republican nomination and then became our 43rd President of the United States. Yet the energy and enthusiasm for who should lead this nation, it is real today as it was 4 years ago. I know I speak for my husband and the entire family when I say we have not forgotten the incredible people who were willing to take a chance on the businessmen who had never worked in politics. We know it was you who elected him to be Commander-in-Chief, and we know it is you who will carry us through again. We were humbled by the incredible support then, and we are still grateful today. I want to acknowledge the fact that since March, our lives have changed drastically. The invisible enemy, COVID-19, swept across our beautiful country and impacted all of us. My deepest sympathy goes out to everyone who has lost a loved one, and my prayers are with those who are ill or suffering. I know many people are anxious and some feel helpless. I want you to know you're not alone. My husband's administration will not stop fighting until there is an effective treatment or vaccine available to everyone. Donald will not rest until he has done all he can to take care of everyone impacted by this terrible pandemic. I want to extend my gratitude to all of the healthcare professionals, frontline workers and teachers who stepped up in these difficult times. Despite the risk to yourselves and your own families, you put our country first, and my husband and I are grateful. I have been moved by the way Americans have come together in such an unfamiliar and often frightening situation. It is in times like this that we will look back and tell our grandchildren that through kindness and compassion, strength and determination, we were able to restore the promise of our future. Businesses stepped up and volunteers stepped in. People were eager to share ideas, resources, and support of all kinds with neighbors and strangers alike. It has been inspiring to see what the people of our great nation will do for one another, especially when we are at our most fragile. Speaking of strength and determination, we recently celebrated the 100-year anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment. Yesterday, on the North Lawn of the White House, we unveiled an exhibit dedicated to women's suffrage. The exhibit called on children from across the country to send art honoring the meaning of this important time in women's history. When I was judging the entries, I reflected on the impact of women's voices in our nation's story, and how proud I will be to cast my vote again for Donald this November. We must make sure that women are heard and that the American dream continues to thrive. Growing up as a young child in Slovenia, which was under communist rule at the time, I always heard about an amazing place called America, a land that stood for freedom and opportunity. As I grew older, it became my goal to move to the United States and follow my dream of working in the fashion industry. My parents worked very hard to ensure our family could not only live and prosper in America, but also contribute to a nation that allows for people to arrive with a dream and make it reality. I want to take the moment to thank my mother and father for all they have done for our family. It is because of you that I'm standing here today. I arrived in the United States when I was 26 years old. Living and working in the land of opportunity was a dream come true, but I wanted more. I wanted to be a citizen. After 10 years of paperwork and patience, I studied for the test in 2006 and became an American citizen. It is still one of the proudest moments in my life because with hard work and determination, I was able to achieve my own American dream. As an immigrant and a very independent woman, I understand what a privilege it is to live here and to enjoy the freedoms and opportunities that we have. As First Lady, I have been fortunate to see the American dream come true over and over again. I have met many inspiring women, children, parents, and families who have overcome life-changing issues that include addiction, homelessness, family members who are ill or have passed away, abuse of all kinds, and many other challenges that would make most people give up. The past 3.5 years have been unforgettable. There are no words to describe how honored, humbled, and fortunate I am to serve our nation as your First Lady. After many of the experiences I've had, I don't know if I can fully explain how many people I take home with me in my heart each day. From brave soldiers who give up so much so that we can be free, to children of all circumstances who I have met around the world. Thank you for inspiring me. It is my greatest honor to serve you. When I speak to members of the military, despite sacrificing time with their families, experience the fear of war or suffering loss, they have no regrets about serving our country. The same goes for their families and the families of first responders who often watch their loved ones walk out the door, not sure if or when they will come home. When I speak to families who have lost someone, the pain mixed with pride I hear in their voices is something I think about often. So thank you to all who serve our country in the military and as first responders. And thank you to the families who wait for them. You are all heroes in your own right. I have also been moved by the many children and families I've spent time with at hospitals, schools, and other locations around the world. Children who are dealing with pain or illness that would break even the strongest adult. Parents who are grateful to wake up every day and see that their child is still alive. These families are a testament to what faith and medicine, strength and science can do. On my first international trip as First Lady, my husband and I visited places of great significance to the three major religions: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. One special memory from that trip is of a young boy I had privilege of visiting while at Bambino Gesù Hospital in Rome, Italy. While there, I read the little boy a story and learned that he and his family had been waiting for a heart for a very long time, and he had a grim prognosis. His situation brought my staff and me to tears, and we spoke of a little else as we flew to Belgium for the next part of our trip. Upon landing just a few hours later, we learned that a heart had been donated and would be going to the little one. I think about him often, along with so many amazing and strong young patients across our own country. More profound and sadly unavoidable examples of our country's strength and character have occurred in the communities that have been impacted by natural disasters. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and flooding may show the ugly side of Mother Nature, but in their aftermath, they can show us a beautiful side of humanity. My husband and I have visited many places that have been affected by natural disaster, and we are deeply moved by the strength of the people who have lost everything and the kindness of neighbors and communities. The common thread in all of these challenging situations is the unwavering resolve to help one another. I recognize the stories I just told about people who survive extraordinary circumstances, but Donald and I are also inspired by the millions of Americans who wake up each day with a simple yet courageous goal of providing for their families and keeping them safe. You are the backbone of this country. You are the people who continue to make the United States of America what it is, and who have the incredible responsibility of preparing our future generations to leave everything even better than they found it. Just as you are fighting for your families, my husband, our family, and the people in this administration are here fighting for you. No matter the amount of negative or false media headlines or attacks from the other side, Donald Trump has not and will not lose focus on you. He loves this country, and he knows how to get things done. As you have learned over the past 5 years, he is not a traditional politician. He doesn't just speak words. He demands action, and he gets results. The future of our country has always been very important to him, and it is something that I have always admired. In fact, it is to help ensure a better future for our next generation that I launched Be Best, my initiative to help children achieve their fullest potential. Be Best has one simple goal: teaching youth about the importance of their well-being, both mentally and physically. This also includes understanding online safety and the dangers of opioid and drug abuse. Through Be Best, my office and I have been able to highlight people, programs, and organizations that are doing extraordinary things in our country and around the world. I continue to believe that by shining a light on these positive examples, others across the country and globe will become inspired to do their part for our next generation. Helping children is not a political goal. It is our moral imperative. When I think back to a defining moment of Be Best, my mind goes to a trip I took to Africa. On that vast and beautiful continent, I was able to visit the countries of Ghana, Malawi, Kenya, and Egypt. One of those visits, in particular, had a profound impact on me. Ghana, on the coast of West Africa, was the first stop on my trip, and I experienced firsthand its warm people and their traditions. While there, I visited the Cape Coast Castle and learned more about the beginning of a cruel and often deadly journey in the era of the slave trade. I was horrified when I listened to the guide tell me so many inhumane stories, and I gained new perspectives. It is time in our history we must never forget, so that we can ensure that it never happens again. Like all of you, I have reflected on the racial unrest in our country. It is a harsh reality that we are not proud of parts of our history. I encourage people to focus on our future while still learning from our past. We must remember that today we are all one community comprised of many races, religions, and ethnicities. Our diverse and storied history is what makes our country strong, and yet we still have so much to learn from one another. With that in mind, I like to call on the citizens of this country to take a moment, pause, and look at things from all perspectives. I urge people to come together in a civil manner so we can work and live up to our standard American ideals. I also ask people to stop the violence and looting being done in the name of justice, and never make assumptions based on the color of a person's skin. Instead of tearing things down, let's reflect on our mistakes. be proud of our evolution, and look to our way forward. Every day, let us remember that we are one nation under God, and we need to cherish one another. My husband's administration has worked to try and effect change when it comes to issues around race and religion in this country. He is the first president to address a special session of the United Nations General Assembly to call upon countries across the world to end religious persecution and honor the right of every person to worship as they choose. He has made substantial investments in our historically black colleges and universities. This president also continues to fight for school choice, giving parents more options to help their children flourish. My husband knows how to make a real change. From the day that I met him, he has only wanted to make this country the best it can be. For many years, I watched him grow concerned and frustrated, and I'm so proud to see the many things he has done in such a short time. America is in his heart. So while at times we only see the worst of people and politics on the evening news, let's remember how we come together in the most difficult times. And while debate rages on about issues of race, let's focus on the strides we have made and work together for a better tomorrow for everyone. Our administration has also devoted historic resources and produced life-saving results by raising awareness around opioid addiction and drug abuse, especially for children. When so often the headlines are filled with gossip, I want to take this moment to encourage the media to focus even more on the nation's drug crisis. This disease is one that affects everybody. It pays no attention to race, age, or socioeconomic status. Addiction has touched every part of our society in some way. And now, more than ever, we have programs and medicine to combat it. We just need to talk about it openly. And you, the media, have the platforms to make that happen. To the media industry and as a country, I ask that we all commit to helping in our fights against drug addiction by talking about it even more. Especially as we battle the COVID pandemic, we need to remember that suicides are on the rise as people who are struggling with loneliness and addiction feel they have nowhere to turn. Parents, please talk to your children. Teachers and caregivers, pay attention to signs of addiction. Lawmakers, pass legislation that allows those who ask for help to do so safely and without fear, and to provide resources for organizations that help people impacted by addiction. When the stigma is removed, people will no longer be ashamed to ask for help, and lives will be saved. And if you're struggling with addiction, there is no shame in your illness. Please seek help. You are worth it. In my next 4 years as First Lady, I will continue to build upon Be Best and work with individual states to pass legislation to take care of our most vulnerable. I plan to continue the work I have started with children in foster care, as well as the minority communities and tribal nations. I want to ensure children are being protected and communities have the resources needed to combat drug addiction and child neglect or abuse. Like my husband and the administration, I will continue to encourage education that supports a child's individual needs. It is vital that children are given the building blocks to succeed. I also look forward to continue my work to restore the People's House, which is a lasting symbol of pride for our nation. I believe this iconic home needs to be cared for and preserved so it can be enjoyed by the people of this country and visitors from around the world for years to come. I'm passionate about this beautiful house, the grounds, and all they represent. And now I have a special message for the mothers of this country. This modern world is moving so fast, and our children face challenges that seem to change every few months. Just like me, I know many of you watch how mean and manipulative social media can be. And just like me, I'm sure many of you are looking for answers how to talk to your children about the downside of technology and their relationships with their peers. Like every parent in this country, I feel there are so many lessons to teach our son and responsibilities as his mother, but there are just not enough hours in the day to do it all. I remind myself that I'm more fortunate than most and still have days that I look for wisdom and strength to do the very best I can for him. To mothers and parents everywhere, you are warriors. In my husband, you have a president who will not stop fighting for you and your families. I see how hard he works each day and night, and despite the unprecedented attacks from the media and opposition, he will not give up. In fact, if you tell him he cannot be done, he just works harder. Donald is a husband who supports me in all that I do. He has built an administration with an unprecedented number of women in leadership roles and has fostered an environment where the American people are always the priority. He welcomes different points of view and encourages thinking outside of the box. I know I speak for my husband and the family when I say we are so grateful that you have trusted him to be your president, and we will be honored to serve this incredible country for 4 more years. As you have heard this evening, I don't want to use this precious time attacking the other side, because as we saw last week, that kind of talk only serves to divide the country further. I'm here because we need my husband to be our president and commander-in-chief for 4 more years. He is what is best for our country. We all know Donald Trump makes no secrets about how he feels about things. Total honesty is what we as citizens deserve from our president. Whether you like it or not, you always know what he's thinking. And that is because he's an authentic person who loves this country and its people and wants to continue to make it better. Donald wants to keep your family safe. He wants to help your family succeed. He wants nothing more than for this country to prosper, and he doesn't waste time playing politics. Almost 4 years ago, we went into Election Day completely underestimated. Despite what is being said again this year, I know, just as you do, that Americans will go to the polls and vote on the behalf of their families, our economy, our national security, and our children's future. To vote for those ideals is not a partisan vote. It is a common sense vote, because those are goals and hopes that we all believe in. I believe that we need my husband's leadership now more than ever in order to bring us back once again to the greatest economy and the strongest country ever known. God bless you all, your families, and God bless the United States of America.
What a speech. Scotty!
Airborne.
Airborne, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm just motivated this morning.
Great.
How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yep.
Excellent.
Glad to see you.
Yeah, I texted Mikey earlier saying after physical therapy I was going to be available. He said, let's go.
All right.
I got to get me a home studio like you guys have. Yours is looking great, man.
Not mine. Mike's is.
Mike's is full.
I did the best I could here on the fly, guys. This is what we got. The setup here, it's subpar, but it'll work.
Well, wait till we get him in the basement, man. It's gonna be great.
A little cooler, a little bigger.
Yes,
it'll be great. Yeah.
All my music.
What'd you think of Melania there, Woodman?
Oh my Lord! I wish I could kiss her. But she's intelligent.
Brains
very
plus
witty,
beauty.
Real sharp. I mean, like right there. I mean, and then all the work she does. Like with the children and
the Be
mothers.
Me.
And,
Her Be Me movement isn't that all around the world now?
Oh man.
Yeah. Did you get to see the? I mean, before all that, we were talking about the Kenosha.
Oh my God! I've spent so much. I know you used to live
I
up
lived there,
when you was finishing up your career in the military. Spent a lot of time in Kenosha. It's a great place. It's a good area. Higher end, upper middle class housing, businesses.
Close to Chicago, close to Milwaukee.
Jeez. And then, what I just heard on the way here, I love the drive here because it gives me a little bit of time to focus. But there's a business owner, after watching 28 or 30 businesses getting burnt down and destroyed, he took his Second Amendment right to protect his property and shootings. Did he kill 2 people? Is that what I thought I heard on the radio? He shot and wounded. But boy, did they leave the scene in a hurry. They went from burning and destruction to, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And anybody that wants to paint that guy a villain, I say the hell with him. He had the right to do that. He sat there and watched other businesses go down, so he made a decision to protect it. The guard wasn't there. The governor's kind of, Trump sitting there saying, let us help. But he had every right to do what he did. I wasn't on scene, obviously. Otherwise, I probably would have been helping him. I don't know. It doesn't sound like he provoked anything. He just went and protected his property. So we'll see what the outcome. This stuff's got to stop.
Well, let's watch this again, just so we could all. Let's see here. So lots of.
God, that looks peaceful.
Yeah, you're right.
So this is the one that surged. I mean, guns are drawn.
He's reaching for something. And he wasn't giving up either.
See him reaching into his he just reached into his belly right there.
What's on the ground?
Right
what
before
gets
that.
dropped?
See if you can rewind that.
What is that on the ground already by the door? Just a phone, maybe?
I don't know, but watch his right hand, right here.
Yeah.
Reaching, and then at no point he should have just stopped. At no point could have.
When, like I said, we don't know the level of the cops' engagement. Like, that could have been the first time the cop ever had to use his service weapon. Not during the police academy. But we know the average person that trains with their gun all the time, they talk about it. But man, the minute something actually really does happen, it's the first time it happened. Mm-hmm. So how you react, all I know is if you were to get pulled over for a traffic ticket, or if you were the main subject of if you were at some place where there was a bunch of people like, yeah, stop what you're doing. And then we're calling the cops, and then the cops show up and you're the main focal point of the reason the cops are there. And I'm not saying that's the case, because now we're hearing, and we'll get into that in a minute. But regardless, at this point, this clip going around, all we see is a guy coming from the passenger side, walking like I ain't listening to nobody.
Right.
When is that ever okay? And especially if guns are pointed at you. Where's the outcry for like, well, who taught this guy to like? That's not going to end well. Because if you were in the service as well, and I was using this with Woodman earlier, if we were cutting into houses to look for terrorists, and you've seen these videos with cameras mounted to the end of the AR-15s where they're going down the hallway, then they catch the terrorist on the couch and their hands up, and they're sitting there. But at any point, if the terrorist has like put his hands down, just stood up, started walking,
it's your life or mine, Jack.
You're trained to make sure you get out of that house. So we don't have a lot there on that, but what you see, I've heard other people already saying, I watched the video, it's a plain, blatant killing of a black man, of a white cop. And that's not what I'm getting. I'm seeing something definitely more because I could, the person filming this, by the way, you could, if you listen to the audio, they're over there like, oh shit, they just shot him. They're really horrified that through their camera thing that they thought they were just getting this little thing going like normal. But then you see this happen. They're pretty shocked. But man, they cut in and you don't know. So now we got this other footage already came out.
To say that he just got shot, in the back. The way that the news portrayed this was standing still in the middle of the street or on a sidewalk, not moving, complying with it. That's how my brain heard it when I was told about it. And then you watch this video, it's like, oh, wait a minute. At any time he pulls something out of his shorts, or any time he's reaching into that vehicle, it could change the cop's life. He could have just stood there and complied and answered questions.
Like this. Look, who gets? There's a gun there. Now let's look at the other cop right behind him. You see the gun come up? Right as it cuts, he cuts out of the scene. But watch this secondary cop. He's got a gun. Well, hell, he had it pointed at his partner's back coming from over here.
Yeah.
Look, right there. He's got his gun up. So there's two, and we know there's a third guy right here. Cop back here behind the vehicle with a gun. So there's 3 cops with guns. When is this ever all right? No, I'm just leaving. I'm not going to get arrested. I'm not going to, And then it looks not to just get in the vehicle, but like there's a reach down, like that side. You just don't know. So now you got to imagine on the way there as a cop, you're getting that stuff coming from the dispatch.
Uh-huh.
And I guess there was reports that he had a knife. But now it's coming out that he was there. He had warrants. He has like sexual assault charges. The judge just issued a warrant last month for his arrest. But that maybe the call came from this place for somebody totally different. Mm-hmm. He happened to be there. It's one of them things where it's like, man, I know I'm wanted, and I got to be careful who I hang around. But here's an instance where something else happened. Cops were called. They're saying that he was just there actually breaking up a fight. But once the cops get there, they probably go after him, and then everyone's like, no, he was just breaking it up. And then they're like, oh, okay, they let him go. What's your name? And he gives a name, then they run it.
Right.
And then it's like, well, we got arrested. And then it turned into something maybe else.
Right.
And then he's kind of annoyed, like, no, I was just helping. I'm leaving. I ain't getting arrested today. This isn't how it's going to go down.
Sorry.
I don't know. I'm speculating a little more there again. But.
My overall problem with this is my daughter had a personal situation like this. There's race baiting going on. You can call it race baiting. There's police baiting. There's all kinds of baiting going on. 2 rules here. 1, listen to the law. If he gives you an instruction, listen. And 2, don't go looking for trouble. You follow those 2 rules right now. I'm following those 2 rules. I'm not looking for trouble, and if I got pulled over, I'm going to comply with everything that I'm being told.
Woodman, you're military, ex-military cop, so you've dealt with the whole, probably talking to a lot of people at their windows, haven't you? Like, the whole window down, Friday night, maybe somebody's driving back onto the old base a little too drunk. I don't know what it was like in the 80s or when you were in, but did you get the people that complied and people that didn't comply? What was the whole,
Well, people that didn't comply got subdued.
Really quickly, right?
Well, look, you have to control the situation immediately. If you don't do it immediately, it erupts into some other stuff. You don't. Any police officer, when he approaches any vehicle or any person that they do not know, they have to keep in the back of their mind that this could be a killer. The reason I say that is because there's so many people out there that are killers. Treat the person as your best neighbor, but always keep that in the back of your mind because you have to respond very quickly. And I mean, like, not a whole second or two, sometimes tenths of a second. Could
Like
mean
somebody leaning into their car like that. You have no clue. You know, like when you watch that video, this is what's bugging me, and I said it earlier. We have all the sports turned off and all that. So now these people that are used to commentary on their favorite team are now tuning into this stuff, which is great. I applaud that. They should be. They should have been the whole time. But now they're already picking sides. They know that they don't like cops. So no matter what, it's all. And I think that the media is so desperate for false flags that they normally created that they're jumping onto these. Anytime there's a shooting, they're getting the footage or editing it. So that footage that we saw him taunting around the car, right? Now let's look at the new footage real quick, and we'll go further. So look at this one, Scott. Get Woodman's mic back on here. The other angle before he walks around out, you see they're all wrestling. The cop, 2 cops, him,
a woman.
Now you'll see the guy get up. This is after wrestling.
Well, they should jump on him again. He should have never went that far.
So it's a little
misleading.
Well,
the news media, in my opinion, and I'm going to include all of them, jump to conclusions too fast to sell what they call back in the day soap flakes. You know,
Nick Sanderman or whatever. Didn't they learn or no? They don't
No,
care.
they don't
care.
They don't care.
Like he said, right? He said it.
I got a friend in Ireland that I was talking to this morning, and he's like, so he was asking about the election, but he watched last night's RNC, and he said, wow, what a different look on things. Because if you watch it on C-SPAN, do you know that C-SPAN's RNC the first night got 3 times, C-SPAN, 3 times the rating than what CNN did for the entire DNC. Now, C-SPAN is the most boringest channel on the planet, unless you're like way into politics. So this guy's telling me, he goes, you know, we're privy to some CNN. Obviously, I can watch whatever I want, you know, because of technology. But mainstream media over here is telling us, you know, Trump can't win like he didn't, you know, like they said last time. And he's going on and on and on. And I thought this goes right along with Kenosha, all these other cop shootings. They're covering the ones that help sell soap flakes, push an agenda. It's time to start holding these people accountable.
I agree.
You can't just go out and yell fire in a theater, right? Why? Why can't you do that? Because it causes chaos, pandemonium. People get hurt. What in the F is the difference with media yelling fire? All cops are bad. So now all criminals or ethnic groups, all people are going to be a little on edge when they see a cop, right? And then good people are going to hear, oh, protect your homes. The protesters are coming. The protesters are coming. So now they're all on edge. And this is what I put together in my mind last night. Black Lives Matter movements and these hate cop movements and the media doing this, if racism wasn't a problem before, which I don't really think it was, it's relevant now because everybody's talking about it. All you did was take normal people that never were racist, before this conversation ever came up, minded their business, went to work, did their thing. But now you have middle-class Americans freaked out and scared, so now they're on. So all these people on all sides now are on edge. Why? Because the media, false flags, and Black Lives Movement are making something they're making a mountain out of a molehill. And this is the real problem. That's the definition of creating their own narrative.
Yeah.
They're doing this. They're controlling it. If they just shut the hell up,
which they won't,
it'll go away. But you keep it alive by throwing.
Well, this is what we talked about too. Like when we break the narrative of the illusion, I really do at this point in my life think the world is a stage. I think the portal of the TV has always been orchestrated, and it is sad to say, but it's almost like when we look through the TV, they are trying to create that narrative for us to bring back on, which is true reality over here. and it's just the TV box you look through. And there was a small group of the controlled media, the people we see on TV that we've all grown to know our whole life. And then you got the media, or the entertainment industry, which is the actors, and there's not many of them. And then you got the music industry in general that's on the airwaves. You got the movie stars that are on the movies and TVs, and you got the news. And then you got this propagated people that we've seen, like the Clintons have been around 30, 40 years, the Pelosi's, the Bidens, 40, 48 years. And they've lost control with Trump coming in. We got real people on this outside showing up to his rallies, like 30,000 inside the arenas.
Patriots, yeah.
Patriots, real people. And on their side, it's the propaganda works enough to where we'll run across people that don't like Trump.
Correct.
But they don't know why.
Right.
Because if you confront them, like, well, why? And like, I don't know. He's racist. They can't bark out anything other than, well, tell me why he's racist. Yeah, I don't know. Something at the border, he's wanting to make a border. And it's like, well, that doesn't make somebody racist. I mean, so you break down all their illusions of, they don't even really know why, because the media's gave them a bunch of, like, shitballs in their backpack. And
they're freaking out and desperate. They didn't realize, if we all remember, I don't have to go into it too much, Trump was supposed to lose. Trump was supposed to lose. Hillary's going to win. None of this shit was ever going to come up.
Don't go to the polls. She already won.
They didn't realize how many people are silent. So these early polls, and I remind people all the time, who do you think's being polled? Do you think they're driving down to 600 Northeast Stark County, Indiana, out in the middle of nowhere, and asking 14 farmers? No.
Hell no.
They're walking around the rural or the urban areas, the cities, and asking people, who are you going to vote? Well, we already know cities go blue. Thus the reason the cities suck. So the early polls, I always tell people, and nobody ever listens. I'm only 40 years old this year, but it happens every poll season, every time there's an election. Early on, the Democrats are winning everything. Well, why? Well, because they do the same every damn election. They go out and they interview and ask people in the city first, and then later on it starts catching up and catching up. I just heard it on Fox Radio today. Trump catching up like he's further ahead now than he was in 2016. Well, no kidding, because we're getting closer to the election, and the pre-polls and the interviews are expanding, and all of a sudden, oh my God. So anyway, they didn't realize there were so many of us, right?
Oh yeah, silent majority.
And they lost. So now they're creating all these negative things. I mean, 2020 is the year of what the F, right? You see it all over Facebook, the media. 2020 sucks, blah, 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 blah. So they created all this chaos, and he's still picking up momentum. And they're just losing their minds, man. And instead of doing the right, noble thing.
Well, is Trump going to accept it if he loses this year, Scott? They're already asking him that, but they haven't accepted. It's like, I would be like, well, if I win 2020, will you accept 2016 election? At least?
Do you know that he's never talked about that? That is another story they created, and they threw upon him. And then they edit the video, because the question was, will you leave office if you lose? Well, absolutely, I have to. But what they did is they cut it up and said, I want a fair election. I want to make sure. And then they edited some other parts, so it made it sound like, well, not if there. He made one comment saying, not if there's not a fair election or something like that. And it was based on implementing executive order and asking the Supreme Court to make sure there's no mail-in ballots. Well, what they did was they edited that part of that question and added the part where, well, no. His answer was no to another question, but they pasted it together. It's like, what the hell, are we in the 6th grade or what? They do that shit in elementary school.
Hey, Biden walks into a bar, sits down at the bar, looks at the guy next to him and says, so, do I come here often?
Oh my Lord.
This is why
they're blowing all the way on that one there, boy.
Listen, they're smart enough. They're doing their homework. This is why they couldn't let him out of his basement. You see the mistakes he's making about, well, Mexicans aren't blacks. They're not like the blacks. They're a little smarter and they're a little more family. He's saying dumb shit like that, and it's like, wait a minute. And they
have a real, he put them down straight up. It's accident or no accident. You said it. That's not what he meant. And they'll come around. It's like, but with Trump in 2016, you guys were saying he said stuff that he didn't say.
Right.
In pushing it to make it.
And Biden's actually saying stuff.
But then you're making up excuses of what he really meant to say.
The guy on NBC said, well, it's not that he is saying incorrect information. It's that he stutters. Well, I don't care if you lie, if you're lying or you're bullshitting, sorry, and you stutter while you do it. Mike's eyes are obviously blue. No, Mike's eyes are. It's still a lie. It's still your belief. I don't care how it comes out of your mouth. You know what I mean? So they think that by saying, like, pedophilia, you're born that way. Or when the one guy, what's his name, got in trouble for rape, molestation, they spun it and said Spacey.
Kevin Spacehead.
It's the same thing. Instead of just saying, yeah, you're right, he's a molester.
Now,
no,
he's been struggling with coming out of the closet for years. He's gay. And it's like, it was a kid. I don't care that they brought up alcohol. He's gay. And it's like, that has nothing to do with what happened.
So are they saying, did the guy from NBC, when he said that, it's because he's stuttering, so all people that stutter are stupid like Joe Biden? I'm sorry, my littlest son has a tiny lisp that you could mistaken for a stutter.
The tolerant left is already on a thing of like Melania's great speech we just witnessed last night today that she can't speak English yet. She is still really broken. I said, oh my God, she speaks 5 languages. Joe Biden can't even speak the one properly. Right. They're saying. How do they spin that, Scott? I mean, or how do they? That is racist to me. I'm offended for Melania for them saying that already. That I thought. This country, we love immigration. We just the proper way, and she did it the proper way. Here she is speaking very good English. Might have been a little accenty. I found it to be representative of our immigration of this country, which we have. So it's
Have you been to Boston?
Yeah.
Have you been to Boston? My in-laws are from Boston. And they moved to Boston, and they're actually starting to pick up an accent. But I've been to Boston. I've been up and down that East Coast, and actually all over the country and parts of the world. People do speak with accents. So, with her, to answer your question, the media doesn't have a hint of objectivity or integrity. Not one hint of it. And the whole time she's speaking, she gets to the part where she said, towards the end, she says, and now I'm going to sum it up. I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to get into what attacking the other side. It's not positive, and here she is being very noble. She could have attacked, that's her husband they're attacking and the leader of the free world, and she didn't go there. Now, you go to the last first lady, and all she can do, along with Hillary and the ex-president and all their cronies, is just blast Trump. That entire DNC, I didn't hear an agenda or a plan or how are you going to, by the way, light to darkness. Biden stole the snot out of that, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
But they never talked anything positive about what they could do to make the country better. All they did was spend an entire week bringing Hollywood movie stars and everybody else's that really have nothing in common with any of us and telling us how bad Trump is, and here's Melania.
That's all they've ever had.
They don't got nothing.
I was saying that to start this off a little bit, that my illusion has come to that looking through that TV, it was always the narrative that they want, so they pitch it. It's always been a little bit more blissful for us because we didn't have some resistance calling it out every step of the way.
Correct.
So what we're seeing is a fork thrown into their plan, and I truly believe to this minute that that's why the world shut down, because they lost control of that illusion for to prop Biden up and to not let Trump be seen that he's really filling up stadiums. So they tried to put a notch in that until after the elections, because Biden can't fill up the back of a pickup bed at this point.
How true. How true.
So I thought she handled herself with grace and dignity, and wow. And she actually got really good reviews from almost everybody. And then right after saying something nice, they turn around and backhand her. Oh, yeah. It's like that one asshole friend of yours that really isn't a friend. That always has something nice to say and follows it with but I can do it better. You know, you weren't there for me that one. You know, it's just the way they do that is just, it's disgusting. I thought she took the high road, and I wish she would speak more publicly.
Yeah, she was fantastic. She didn't bow down to their level, you know what I mean? And she was talking about she didn't want to do it. No more division in the country, she said.
Well, shame on her for thinking that way. Without division, there can't be. You see, this is again. I'm not trying to take the show over here, but again, this is the problem that they have, and they did it to themselves. Instead of having a debate or a division over philosophies and ideals, it is just simply Trump is terrible, and cops are bad, and Black Lives Matter, right? And on the other side, we're sitting around going, where the hell did all this come from?
Right.
You know, wow, that's...
Phone lines are open.
One day we're all going to work. We understand that, you know, Trump's in office, lots of good things happening. And then the next day, oh my God, the country's on fire, and it's because Trump's an idiot, and, you know, a building just burnt down because of Trump, the hurricane being pulled in off the coast by Trump. All this collusion with Russia behind, you know, Trump apparently paid the DNC to write a report on himself. Trump's fault. The asteroid that might hit us is Trump's fault. I mean, just Trump, fault. And they don't spend any time bringing the country together. I'm glad you said that, Woodman, because that was one thing that she really did do last night. She talked middle ground, moderate. I love moderates. I don't like wackos on the way right, and I don't like wackos on the way left. I like people that come to the middle, because you can get shit done.
Oh, yeah.
I can disagree with Mike on 10 different things, but if we can find one thing that we have in common and get, you know, we got to go.
Communication, man.
Yeah.
You're on the air. What's going on? Who do we have here?
Hey, Mike, it's Nat from Kentucky. How are y'all doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning.
Been better, buddy. And, y'all been doing okay?
Yes. How are you doing? Kentucky, did you come in with the bacon?
Yes.
Yeah, that's her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how you doing?
That's me. Hey, Scott.
Hello.
I'm still trying to get my car home, bud. It's been crazy.
I bet. So how did you end up getting home? You made it out of here and you got down to by Kokomo, I guess, and then what happened?
Yeah, we made it down to Kokomo, and then Jonathan, my son, got sick again and couldn't drive home, so we ended up leaving my car about 20 miles down the road from where we had left it when he went to the hospital. So,
jeez,
it's I'm gonna have to go get it somehow. But I talked to Woodman about it a couple days ago,
and while you're on the phone, you want to talk about who you've seen from your home state on? Did you watch the RNC last night?
Yes, I did.
Your Attorney General, the first African American Attorney General in Kentucky's history.
Yes, I've seen him.
What a great man.
Yes, he was great. And I love Melania's speech last night. And our news people need to just back off. She don't need them, and she knows who she is, and she's a strong woman, and she don't need none of this. She gets out there, she does what she has to do, and she goes home. I mean,
so
she'll have to deal with it.
So as a strong woman, an entrepreneur you are, do you think that you speak for other women, or is Melania another Sarah Palin that it just isn't good enough? Isn't good enough and should shut her mouth and doesn't speak for all women, but Kamala does. So as a woman, can you tell me, as a hardworking woman, can you tell me, should I be excited about Melania or should I be excited about Kamala? What's your take on what the Democrats like to do with women?
Melania is the greatest first lady we've had since Jackie Kennedy. And I don't care what any of them say. She's an independent woman, and she should be an idol. Not an idol, but, you know, everybody should look up to what she does. I mean, she don't need the media. She don't need their you know, she does her own thing, and I think she's awesome.
Good.
I agree.
Good.
You know, and no, the other side is a joke, and they have nothing. They're not going to win this.
I don't see how.
It's not.
Yeah, we don't think so either. It's just the illusion of it. They're going to do it up to the last minute. Don't vote. Don't get off your couch. Biden's already got it. And that's kind of what we...
No, he sure don't.
So what can we do to help you, by the way? Anything, do you got any information to give out to all the people listening today? You know, is there anything, you know, what can they do to help? Or what are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody close in the area that can make this work out? You need a ride to Kokomo possibly just to get your car? Like they literally, somebody to get you down there?
I need a ride to Kokomo because they come and got our truck 2 days ago. We've had a rough...
Jeez.
Well, everybody has it rough, I understand, but, you know, with our chips, and we didn't get to do them. You know, our year starts in March.
Well, yeah, all the festivals and fairs and stuff shut down.
Yeah.
You know, June, and then when it heats up, you know, but and then it comes back again in the fall, and it wiped us out this year. And 3 days ago, we come and got our truck. So,
well, let me do a shout out for you. If we got somebody anywhere around Kentucky, I guess it doesn't matter where, but maybe you're driving through the area, maybe you're from Kentucky, maybe you're coming up through Kentucky, going back into Indiana. So Kentucky and Kokomo is not real far. You're talking probably 5-6 hour drive, maybe
4 hours.
4 hours. So that's not. Yeah. So anybody that's in the area, if you can reach out, we'll make sure we put you in contact. Or unless you want to give some kind of way to get a hold of you right now, I know some people don't want to give phone numbers out, but there's got to be somebody in that area that can do this pretty quickly.
Well, I gave a phone number out earlier, Scott,
okay.
And I gave the town. I mentioned that that she lived in Western Kentucky also. That kind of helps get people lined up with where they're going. So just a ride to Kokomo from there. Local patriots help out.
And Mike, I wanted to apologize. I'm not.
Hang in there.
I'm not that needy of a person.
No.
Everything went wrong on our way out there with my son, so I wanted to apologize about, being there and having to ask for help. But
no, we're glad. We're glad that you made it. We're all patriots. I hope I didn't come off any way other than we want you to come back next year. We hope it's a little better for you. You made it. You came from Kentucky. You had your kids. And I hope it can be better for you next year. I hope you can sell a lot more. I know people love that stuff. I saw bags of it everywhere. I bought, So anything we can do to help, we don't think of you as a burden. You're a patriot. And we're all...
Gosh, there's got to be a way to do this. I mean, we live with the technology we have. So I don't know. Woodman, did you say, or Mike, you got the address? Not necessarily address, but we got hometown from her, and we know Kokomo.
I got
Woodman's got a number. I got the number.
Uber does this. Buses go that way. Good Americans are going that way. This should take by the end of business day to day to have some kind of a plan, maybe.
Oh yeah, but she lives in Livermore, Kentucky.
Livermore?
Kentucky.
Livermore, Kentucky. Okay.
It's in the western part of the state, so.
All right, you guys. Let's.
We're gonna stay with. We're gonna get back to you, dear. Don't give up, and don't think that you're a nuisance to us by any means. You're not a. No, this is what we do.
Yeah, we're gonna put our heads together. We're gonna finish our show. We're gonna get back into. I know Woodman's in touch with you. I got your number from Woodman now. Scott's got it. Well, I have it here too because you're saved in the master phone here. So let us work our magic, and we'll be in touch with you here real soon. Let us get on to a few more calls before we wrap this show up. All right.
Thank you, Annette. God bless you, dear.
And we appreciate you.
Better.
We appreciate you. God bless you.
Appreciate you.
All
right.
All right, folks. Let's send some prayers and just good thoughts in general. True patriot. Came all the way down to the fest and just got struck with some bad luck. Who doesn't that happen to sometimes?
Been there.
Oh, there's patriots down there to help her out. Come on now. There's patriots down there to help her out. Come right up on board and wham, pick her up and take her up to get her car.
Ed's on the phone. What's going on, brother?
Hey, thank you so much for all that you do. Congratulations on your fest that you had. You guys really stick up for us. And just a couple of quick points. I live in Katy, Texas. Currently unemployed. The point I want to make is that the major financial bank that I worked for, which was one of the biggest, they let people go at the end of last year. They knew what was going to happen. And this large financial institution that I worked for, when President Trump got elected, the day after, they released a letter to all the employees saying, oh, well, we didn't expect for this to happen, and we're going to have to work through this. Like, it all goes back to she wasn't supposed to lose.
All right.
Yeah.
And,
Wow. Yeah.
The other thing, too, is watching, I pretty much just watch YouTube a lot, and the issues with the nasty things that Biden has said, he's on tape saying the N-word, going back into the 90s and 80s.
Yeah.
And nobody's putting that up anywhere. YouTube's the only place you'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they
the
usually
only way they
smack
can
that.
win is by cheating, lying, and stealing. Hopefully they can get around this mailbox thing, but if these people win, these Democrats win, these communists win, it might be the end of our country. And like the Cuban man said on the rally the other night, there is nowhere else to go.
Yeah. No, Reagan said it too in the great speech. Reagan, when he left the Democratic Party and became a Republican, we're talking about back in the 60s. I think it was the Goldwater campaign, which was a whole hoax in itself.
And this stuff with Antifa is it's frightening. It's like cancer. It keeps be spreading, and at what point do I saw something this morning where these people were these anarchists were holding rifles on policemen.
Mm-hmm.
What, they're supposed to stand there and take that?
Nope.
No, I think it's time to stop using rubber bullets and using smoke bombs and using real ammo.
Ed,
I'm sorry to say that, but these people are terrorists. That's what they are.
Ed, let me ask you a
And
question
they're
if I
holding their
can.
leash,
No,
and he needs to be taken down.
We hear you.
Hard.
Ed, are you against the idea that it's time for us to stand up and maybe get out there?
Could you repeat that, please?
Are you against or for the idea, or the same thinking that maybe it's time for us to stand side by side with these police officers?
I definitely think so. I saw the Proud Boy speech the other day where the Tiny was talking, and a guy behind him said, "It's time that you come out and stand with us."
Where are you
and
at,
I
Patriots?
think you're absolutely right. Enough is enough, and it's in it's in our American creed to do so. Every state should have a militia. You have the right to have and bear arms. I live here in Texas. My ideas, I grew up in the Northeast. I moved here to Texas in 1994. And after 9/11, my views really changed. I went out and got educated, and my views has changed. I matured. I grew up. I'm a realist. And this country is the beacon of light to the whole world. I've traveled around Latin America. I've been as far as Australia in my line of work in being a computer hardware guy. And let me tell you, there's nothing better, especially some of these Latin American nations that I went to, there is nothing better when that plane lands on U.S. soil.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I've kissed the ground when I've gotten back here before.
God bless you for all that you do. I love watching your videos, and you guys, you guys are the news right now, because all you hear on CNN and the rest of those jackals is just crap.
We appreciate it, Ed. Thank you so
God
much.
bless you all.
God bless you.
And we're going to get through this.
All right. Yep. Call back.
Take care, fellas.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Call back anytime, Ed. We'll take a minute here to address that. That was great. Wow. Scott said it. We haven't even stood up yet. We've only been going over everything, trying to get everyone to understand. We're not saying that we wouldn't, but here's they have gone on this. It's very clear. I mean, Trump didn't do things. They said he did. You can see this narrative. I mean, if there's only 6 owners, I mean, the same owners that were around when TV first came out, it's grown no bigger. What they've done is added more channels.
Correct.
To give the illusion of.
Correct.
So if you're a business owner, Scott, and if you also owned, you're a conglomerate in the area. It's like, yeah, Scott owns 4 or 5 businesses. He owns the local news channel. If I was working for you and you own the news channel, not that you were into news, you just owned it. You were the banker. You're the bankroll. And I'm doing an expose on you and your multiple crime syndicate family in the area. You're probably going to pull the trigger on that story. Didn't the lady from the Epstein one, right after Epstein came out, they had the Project Veritas had that hidden camera where he was embedded into the company and he was behind the camera and he was rolling on her. And she's like, I'm so pissed. We were going to break this story. We had witnesses come out. We coaxed them into coming and we told them we're going to protect them. And we're going but nope, the whole story got canned. And it's like the journalist doesn't know why. And everyone to be like, wow, all the news is involved. I mean, that was something early on when you're like, what? So you were in the military. You were part of all this. And it's like, nah, there's compartmentalization. The journalist that lives, like there's one on your road that I pointed out to you locally from our local news. She doesn't know anything. She reads a teleprompter.
Right.
She doesn't sit at home like, I'm getting ready tomorrow for work. What am I going to say? I can't wait to speak my mind. No. They go in, they're the face, they look good. The better you are at reading a teleprompter, the further you'll go along. If you suck, then you clean toilets for the network. If you're good, you'll get on camera, and the better you can not move your eyes and look all stupid and make lots of mistakes, you're going to prosper in that industry.
Damn, I could do good there.
Yeah,
no,
that's it.
You used an interesting word, journalism.
Yeah.
CNN, not journalism. It's opinion,
yes.
and the rest of them.
They should be treated accordingly.
I mean, when he lost, here's your country. Who's the short white woman with short black hair that she was appalled that Trump won, and you're not asleep. This is not a nightmare. This is real. This is your world now. Donald Trump is your president.
We are now a full-on racist country again. It's like, whoa. It's like they're not blaming him, by the way. They've been blaming you the whole time. That's what they're really...
Exactly.
And I guess that showed it that if you're all into propagating a public, that's part of the communist playbook, by the way, is to demonize, propagate, make lies up. And once they lost because Trump beat them, they were just like, whoa.
They lost their shit,
here?
man.
Yes.
They lost it. And here's one that supports that just happened in the last 24 hours. Pompeo gives a recorded address to the country, right, on the behalf of the party that he supports, on behalf of the man that employs him, right? Who is Pompeo? He works directly for the President of the United States, right?
Secretary of State, right? He was Hillary's old job.
Well, and he's doing a better job than Hillary, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
But now they're bringing up an investigation to see, and this is how stupid they are. If I was a congressman or in the Senate, I wouldn't have to do an investigation. The investigation is to look into the lawyerisms of these big books that these clowns build. Part of their legislation, it's never just 1 or 2 pages, it's thousands of pages. They're doing an investigation using our tax dollars to find out if what Pompeo did is against campaign reform. Are you allowed to, as a sitting official on foreign soil, on official business, be wasting your time that you're supposed to be doing official government work and campaign for the President of the United States? I'm sorry. If it's a crime?
If
we're going to find out if it's a crime.
Depends on what if is.
This is how bad the legislation has gotten in the last 40 years. They build like the Obamacare, ACA. Scott, call it the ACA because Obamacare is just a term. It's not the actual. Okay, the Affordable Health Care Act, right? 2,027 pages of crap. They don't know what's in there. So this is why at least they said it correctly. Well, we're gonna build a team to investigate if what he did was wrong. That's how absurd this has gotten. They don't have a comeback for what he said, what Melania said, what's his butt, the young Nicholas Sandman said. They don't have any real stuff to talk about or debate. But they're gonna start an investigation yet again on somebody on Trump or in Trump's cabinet to just why.
That's all they can do is complain. That's all they can do. They have no nothing to stand on.
That's what we're dealing with. A lot of hurt feelings and emotions are running high. And
well, who's the adults in the room here? I mean, who's the adults? I mean, I would love for Trump to stand up. I've seen the cartoons. I'd love for him to stand up at his next State of the Union and talk to them like children, and threaten to stand them in the corner or take their milk money away or whatever it is. I mean, if they're going to act like children, then we need to start treating them like children, and maybe then they'll get the picture. I mean, I doubt it. I mean, they didn't even listen to the context of what Pompeo said. And as an American, do you care if he had that recorded on his own time? Now, when we all have had or do have or will have or whatever jobs, when you work for me for 8 hours and you go home and you record something, that ain't none of my business, man. I don't care if you're, since you work for the federal government, I might care about the context, right? I wouldn't want you just blurting stuff out and giving away secret.
Yeah.
But if he wants to support the President of the United States as a registered Republican, why can't he do that? I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, no. Well, it was like Don Lemon last night and his guests that he had on. They were ensuring Americans that everything's fine. There's no violence in the cities. Everything. It's a Trump fake news campaign delusion. As in the background, there was a TV on with the Kenosha riots and burning going on.
Nothing to see here. What is this, the Wizard of Oz? Pay no attention to the man.
It's just a couple of car lots burning. Don't worry about it. It's normal.
You guys ever see the movie Naked Gun, the Naked Gun movies? And
Leslie Nielsen.
There's always shit going on in the background. I can imagine in CNN headquarters, when breaking news happens and they see that the ratings are going up on RNC, or somebody said something great about as being a Republican or a gun owner. I bet that it's like the Naked Gun movies in those buildings, CNN, NBC. It's like,
or airplane movies.
Yeah, you always gotta watch it like 10 times, the whole movies, and go back and spend one whole time just watching the background. Don't even don't look. These guys, that guy right there, ought to be kicked off of TV. The guy right there from CNN,
Don Lemon.
Oh my God!
Listen to this.
What's going on in D.C.? I mean, I felt completely safe. I went to one of the marches. I felt completely safe. It's It's a sort of fascinating psychology.
Yeah, I've got to run, Michael. We'll discuss more. I wanted to talk more about, but we've got to run. Michael lives close to the big city, and we're good. We're gonna be fine. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Another night of unrest on the streets of Kenosha after police shot Jacob Blake multiple times in the back. That, as the Trump campaign is doubling down on their message of law and order every night. We're going to discuss that next.
It's all going to be fine. There ain't nothing. And he cuts right over to that story where it's complete and utter chaos.
These guys are really influencing young people, and we have to do a better job. I mean, when evil is evil and it's fighting at 100%, the good has to fight harder than 100%, right? I hope everybody out there, and if not, I'm begging you to talk to the kids. Make sure you're constantly in contact with children. F the COVID. I have teenagers up the wazoo coming over with my kids. Have an impact. Don't get too opinionated if you can help it, although you will. But remind them what it is to be an American and a patriot. Yeah. Remind them that there's other ways to look at views or find information than CNN, Don Lemon, or NBC, or even Fox. I mean, these kids, I listen to them, and some of the older ones, the majority of them that run around my place, they get it. They're starting to get it. They're getting jobs. They're wanting to get an education. They're talking military. They're laughing at...
Isn't this just like, isn't we always going to be fighting with people that want their way, I guess? I mean, the Don Lemons of the world. I mean... Don't they have a right to kind of, I guess, push and cater in what they want? Or
we have a show, why can't he?
Yeah, no, I mean...
How come he's got more views than us, though?
And like we said, they're always, if we do have Satanists and stuff, and we know that they're real, you cannot deny, child trafficking, all these things that are going on, and it's just a matter of fact of if you think the gopher guy, the mule that gets paid a little bit of money on Mexico's side to bring 12 people over, if he started the business on his own behalf or if he's working, because always know they're working for somewhere bigger up.
Yeah.
I guess we'll always fight this. It's just for some reason, I don't think they're the majority but man, for some reason they're placed in the right positions.
Always.
So it's not a lot of them that we're fighting against. It's just the repetitive, like Don Lemons. They seem big because you're tuning into CNN. They're telling you there's 2 million people watching. Well, there's really not. Maybe nobody's watching. I don't know. But
I'd like to see somebody with some huevos create a law, or at least bring to the table a law stating that news, we have to hold the news. Now listen, you got to be careful because freedom of speech. But my freedom of speech saying I love guns, don't take away guns, versus you or me lying and influencing other people to think that you need to go get your guns now and walk down the street and do something about it because they're crazy. They need this whole theater law, the panic law. There's a word for it. And I can't believe I forgot it, but yes, I can. Why not stand up and say, you know what, we're going to have to hold you guys at a little bit more of a standard. I'm not asking the government to do a whole lot because you know me, I'm all for small government. But there should be at least some kind of a ban. We get banned from YouTube if they don't like what we talk about, our context.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying shut CNN down because they have the right. What I'm saying is
don't
look at it from an objective view and say, man, you are influencing people in a negative fashion constantly.
And that's not supposed to be the news. They're supposed to be bring you all truth, so we're informed. So we got a well-informed public. JFK talks about the importance of the media. But man, if we're at this point, like you said, why are they getting press badges? Why are they deemed to be worthy enough to go to the White House and even engage when it's like, well, they're bringing their viewers a certain perspective? And it's
why can't they get us to the White House?
Yeah.
Trump, if you're listening, why can't you get me and Mike to speak on behalf, or come to your RNC, or speak to people? I'd like to find a way to speak to more young, influential kids and just remind them, read the Constitution, read 14 different articles a day from 14 different people or editors, and then come up with your own. Do not turn that TV on and look at Don Lemon and go, shit, that's what's going on in the country. Because, boy, you're going to find yourself in a real negative spot.
Yeah.
Well, they bypassed the fact-checking. That's what happened. They bypassed the fact-checking.
Yeah.
Well, why, if they're so tolerant on the left, too, how come, like, former football star Herschel Walker is getting called an Uncle Tom? How come every time a well-educated black man comes out for Trump or just for,
Candace Owens. Candace Owens.
They've thrown, she don't represent me. That's an Uncle Tom. Or
she's too rich, too black, too educated.
It's always something.
But
they stick up with the DNC party. Like you said, they didn't have anyone real on. The DNC clouds their thing like to make it a concert. It's almost like you can buy a concert ticket and go see. You're not ever going to be on that level with Jay-Z up there. But yeah, Hillary be up there dancing a little bit, high five him. Then he does a 2-hour show and they act like, this is great support for the DNC.
Who's in charge of the DNC? I could be the DNC chair next go around, and here's how I can do that. You just put me in front of whoever makes me that position, and I'll say, you guys are not getting it. I don't want them to win, but I could help them win, and here's how. They have not understood. We don't give two Fs what Hollywood thinks. They don't have anything in common with us in our little area right here. I got nothing in common with a Tom Hanks. I got zero in common with Tom Hanks, by the way.
For your whole life.
Other than I like to shoot and he might like to be a target.
Yeah.
But why do
I like to shoot and he likes to run. I mean,
if they were smart, they would have went out and found an iron worker, or they would have found some police or somebody that supports their agendas, but that's their problem. They're protecting themselves, the elitists that love these little kids, and that's what all of this really truly is about. We all know this.
And they set the trends. They're the ones that, like in Hollywood, they'll put on the earrings, and then kids trickle down all the way out in the Midwest. Like, man, that's what it's always been throughout the old 80s, all these teen bot magazines, follow the stars. So our kids are propagated up by that. And they're going to, so when that star comes out and says, F Trump,
right,
that you should be like,
oh, it's cool to say
F Trump too. I'm with you. I don't know why, but yeah,
exactly.
So we're breaking that chain. You have like, why are they putting that up? Put the cop up on the pedestal?
Right.
No, now they're demonizing the cops. They shoot everybody in the back.
Pop always told me, God bless you, Dad. The trendsetters, and I find this. I don't call them trendsetters. A trend center is like-minded guys like us that would grab a little kid and teach him how to make a fire, or sharpen a knife, or
teach
some
him to
morals.
fish.
Trendsetters, in my opinion, because Dad always said, well, trends are always started in California, And we all in the middle of America and rural America dread it because we know within 15 years, it usually takes a decade and a half or so of those hippies, those trendy people to move and get around the country, and it just like a wave slowly comes this way. Kind of like wearing shorts in high school. I didn't wear shorts until I was in the 8th grade. Now, I'm not old, but my kids think that's old. But previous to that, people out west were wearing shorts and, tie-dyes and letting their tits hang out and their ass hang out, and it was cool. But we still had some structure and morals here. So I always found it funny that the trendsetters do start, it seems to be out west, because trendsetting is more of a liberal thing than a conservative. To be conservative is to what? To stay the course with our values and morals from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. To be liberal is to always be trying to change stuff. It works. Let's change it. So try to be a trendsetter, with the young adults.
And there's, people that say, well, that's just the way I grew up. That doesn't make it always right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's great for you. That's not how I grew up, so I don't like you. It's like, but
I'm not going to spank my kids because my dad did. Well, spare the rod.
Yeah.
And now this is the generation you're getting. You're getting a generation that, I don't want to spank my kids. There's other ways to punish them. Well, I can't tell. Whatever you're doing is not working. You got 18-year-old, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds living in basements and on their free time out burning down cities in the name of Black Lives Matter, which I'd like to comment on that. If you stand by and watch somebody sitting at a restaurant and you see a crowd of them come up to them, and they got their fists up, and they're in that person's face, spitting on them, right? They're supposed to be, the party of love, peace, happiness.
Tolerance.
It's
Summer of love.
COVID going on, and here, blah, blah, just put your
Summer of love.
Put your fist up, lady. You bunch of cowards. I'm going to go have dinner, and I'll say a place here in the next couple of days. I'm going to set this up. I'm going to put it on my Facebook. I'm going to say it here on the show. I'm going to go have dinner at a place, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows where that place is. And I'm challenging any Black Lives Matter or any of these damn put your fist up, or I'm going to, what A, are you going to do? And B, don't sit by and take video recordings anymore of people getting harassed and beaten.
You want to stand up, let's start there.
Put the camera down and help them.
Yeah, help them.
I don't need 16 people as I'm getting my ass kicked. By the way, it could happen.
Did you guys get it filmed from every angle?
Right. There are grown men in these videos in the background sitting there watching all these young teenagers and 20-something-year-old kids spitting and you've seen these videos. Everybody has seen these videos. You cannot stand by and do nothing. If you do, you are a coward. I could not stand there and watch what happened to my daughter. I no way. Being spit on and then being called prey,
Are you, I thought you were, are you a veteran, Scott? You damn sure sound like you are, buddy.
I'm a veteran of the United States of America. I had 3 lousy days into the military, and that was my own stupidity when I was a young man. But to be veteran, no. To be American and to know the difference from right and wrong, we're all born with that. I don't understand these people. I don't get it, Airborne. I don't understand. I understand the stupidity because we've had, like I just said, we had a generation of parents that didn't want to punish, didn't want to do this, didn't want to raise their kid, put a pill in their face and give them a TV or a tablet, and that's called parenting. Bullshit, you drop the ball big time right there. The problem that I have more is with the cowards watching this shit happen and do nothing. I guarantee you, if I was in a restaurant, and Mike knows me well, he's seen me in action, it ain't always pretty. I always try to do the right thing, but if I see a 19-year-old girl, a waitress, being harassed or baited, right? Baited. Or a customer, I don't care what side they customer, employee, whatever. I see a fellow American getting harassed and scared to death and being bullied. This is bullyism. And this is coming from the party that wants to change all rules and throw bullies in jail and kick them out of school and bully, we can't have it. And turn right around and do this shit. I'm more embarrassed and ashamed and upset with the cowards than I am the bully, because a bully can be brought to justice easily, and we all know that. Yeah, it's the cowards standing by, and until they start standing up, the rest of the world and country's not going to see that we're against this. I'm not saying go out and do vigilante shit. I'm saying go out and protect the right people, and don't be afraid to get caught on camera for putting somebody in their place. And it's going to take one spark, and all this can come to. It's going to come to a climax first. It's like a war, right? You got to get in. You got to get shit accomplished, and then you get out. Well, we're not even at the fulcrum point yet because we haven't done enough.
We don't promote violence here or condone it. So just, what we're talking about here is, instead of whipping out your camera, because that's what we're getting. Now, I'm not saying go and get in between the cops and stuff either. I mean, look at these other videos, the other angle. It's like you see a cop incident, everyone's getting their phones out. And somehow they're getting selective edited and just showing. Like, we all know the one where it just shows the cop shooting the guy, but the other videos are edited that shows a guy go to pull a gun out. They edit that out sometimes. You gotta wait for the whole story,
all the
folks. Time. Yeah, most of the time. It's always corrupted. Let's look at some. We're at 2 hours, so we're gonna shut this one down.
We're at 2 hours already.
We did an hour. Woodman's been on 2 hours now.
I'm gonna say I know I could ramble, but I don't. That was the fastest 2 hours.
No, it was only an hour. Look at that new sign right here. Patriot's Way. Somebody sent.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. I really like that. I'd like to rename my road. I'm going to take it to the city council.
When you guys send stuff, you can send 2 or 3.
Yes.
Mike doesn't have the only driveway.
This is the only studio really out there. Everything go yeah. No, you guys. These fellas. Woodman's got his studio. Scott's getting his in order. You're going to see him beaming in probably from home a lot more often.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, because now it's going to beam me up, Scotty.
Beam me in, Scotty.
All righty.
Where are you guys checking in from? Let's do some shout outs before we end it. We love this time of the show. God ate too many tacos for breakfast, somebody says. Sabretooth.
Boy.
Let me make that a little bigger.
Where are you coming from?
It must be lagging just a little bit. Go on, folks. This is shout out time.
It's coming.
Maybe you're not from anywhere. Maybe this is all just a dream. Louisville.
Kentucky.
Wendy, you're from Kentucky. Can we hook you up with the net and maybe help her out? You're
Ohio.
Jeez.
Dollywood.
All right. Louisiana.
Freedom, Texas. John Brulin.
From the UK. I love that guy.
Massachusetts.
Welcome, Indiana.
Wisconsin. Pennsylvania, New York.
South Africa. Holy smokes.
Corpus Christi, I saw.
Massachusetts.
Can you turn this one elongated? Where it shows like 15 instead of 6. Port Charlotte. Hey, Richard Hansen. Port Charlotte.
I think we know.
We were just in Port Charlotte. We must have. Richard.
I think we know him.
Why do I know?
That's
friends of Lisa and Sean,
yeah,
right?
I think, and a shout out to Lisa and Sean. Sean's mom. We're praying. Durham, North Cackalack. South. Can you see better there now?
Oh, I can keep up with them a little bit better.
Look at that, South Florida.
Utah. Hey, good luck to all you guys in the Gulf. Canada. That sounds a little shitty, but we're
I want to say real quick. The FBI has deemed Q a possible domestic terrorist organization.
Yeah.
When we label the FBI, I did about a week ago, as a domestic terrorist organization in my eyes. Not the whole thing, but man, if we go back in time from Oklahoma City, Ruby Ridge, all the corrupt, all the 9/11, you guys have really failed this country, and you failed to get Hillary Clinton to go down. So to me, you're a domestic terrorist organization. F off and come proper for now on, or go to hell.
And don't tell me you found 2 driver's licenses with terrorist names on them 15 minutes after the buildings collapsed. Everything else exploded and disintegrated. But that's a whole nother show.
Until Trump denounces, like we saw him not do, don't worry about these corrupt agencies and their talking points. They're pushing a narrative. They're all, honestly, none of these articles attack Q proper. They just attack us and that we're right-wing conspiracy. Where is, there's so many crimes labeled for these people. They don't go to that.
Right.
They don't say they're wrong because they went over to this story about Alec Baldwin when he's doing this and that. When you look into it, it's all real there. So they ignore that. And they just say, basically, they're mad that we're bringing out all their dirt.
Right. Well, you remember what's her butt, the waitress / manager at Cheers with Ted Danson, Christy Alley?
Yeah, she's all on board.
She's all on board, and she can't get any coverage.
No.
And she's from Hollywood.
Canceled now. It's a cancel culture. That's what they do. They cancel you. They're going to cancel you, Scott. You know,
that's the phrase I was looking for earlier. That seems to be, this is the cancel generation.
Cancel culture of this young group.
Well, I'm a lot like this Nicholas Sandman. You can't cancel me. Man, did they screw up. That kid's going to get a bunch of money and hopefully become CEO of CNN.
Oh, man.
Something.
They had to sit there with cameras pointing at him and show him live saying, oh, yeah, turns out I was right after all, and they painted this nasty picture. So good for CNN for effing up, and I hope Sandman burns you down.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
It's like they took that jump, like, let's just cancel this kid, and it didn't turn out so well for him.
It's almost like they got a monkey in the corner, you know, where they flip a coin. Should we do a little bit of research before we go live? And the monkey says, you know, kind of like Pharaoh used to say, live, die, or the Roman.
No, get me on the air immediately. I got to thrash this kid. You know, it's like
feed me information as I'm already live. Oh, wait a minute, everything I just said.
Just give me a few facts, like in my earpiece. Like, you know, I don't know where he's from, so you know, it's like coming in like he's from, you know, from Tennessee. They get that much right.
I woke up today and all 5 of my tires were flat and the ice cream is purple and the number 7's giving me a headache. It's like, what the hell are they talking about? You can't eat waffles with your... they used to say chicken, but I guess you can now. But you see what I'm saying? They just...
Oh, Lord.
It's the movie Anchorman. No, that was Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey and where he pulls the moon down.
Playing God, what is it?
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty.
He just gets what's his butt.
Gets what? Yeah, that's what we showed it. Gets him to, you know.
Yeah. And that's the news.
Ruins them.
Thanks,
ruins
Greg.
the guy, so he can fill in.
But I think it's funny because it's so true. Because after I listened to half of these people, especially Biden, I'm thinking, did anybody grab anything intellectual? And I don't care if you take 4 sentences and cut them up and try to piece them together. Does Joe ever really have anything?
No.
Of context? Of content? I don't know.
They are letting him, for some reason, it seems, just burn out there. And like we said, there was clear evidence of none of that for Trump, but we heard it all. He's mental. He's incapable.
Oh, yeah.
He's a moron. He worked with Russia. I mean, again, I just go back to the one thing, the narrative that he's a moron, blah, blah, but yet he was able to dupe our biggest intelligence agency by working with Putin secretly, somehow not getting anything captured for them to leak and release, because they would have if they had it.
He's so stupid.
Yeah, so stupid. And he beat them. Then he beat the whole U.S. system. And not only that, then they started a 3-year investigation where they dug into everything. They couldn't find nothing again, so he beat them twice.
But he's stupid.
So none of it
makes
sense. None of it makes sense.
Well, he had some of those secret people on his side anyhow to pull it off, no matter what he done.
I don't care what he does.
People,
I love the guy.
People knew about it. People knew about it. They just didn't do anything about it. That's all.
You know, when he first got elected, and we were, you know, Mike and I always try to come off fair. I'm way past being fair right now because they're not wanting to play fair.
No,
so I'll take every chance I get.
Gloves are off.
I'm not saying he's the most lovely speaker all the time. Sometimes I think he tweets too much. You know, but that's what makes him real to me, and why I think he appeals to other people.
The truth ain't pretty, man. It's like you can only butter it up. You know, like we said with Obama, you had a good speaker,
a lawyer,
a liar.
Yeah.
But it was a liar, but it's like,
well, that's what a lawyer is.
I just really want somebody that can bullshit me good. You know, it's like whoever wants that. It's like, you know. So the truth isn't pretty. Trump's not polished. But people would rather, sometimes they want, if he just shut up. I mean, and it's like, you want a good liar or a ruffled truth that kind of hurts you when you hear it sometimes.
I think liar is Finnish for lawyer.
Yeah,
Finnish. I think that. Somebody's going to have to let me know. There is a language that liar is actually interpreted as lawyer.
That's funny. Who's eating cereal out there? It's past noon. No, it ain't. Yeah. Eat your Fruity Loops in your underwear. We don't care.
Well, like what's his name says, get up, get the TV on, watch us, and get dressed.
How come every time after Woodman eats Fruity Pebbles, he poops green? I don't know, but he keeps asking. I think it's red dye number 5.
Anthony says we need the Patriot Hour network if we're going to keep getting bigger. Well, help us do that, because that is the goal. What if we can get a couple of million followers and we're live on satellite? We can help the country always kind of see, at least, I'm not saying we're always right, but at least that different angle. Imagine if magically we were seen by all teenagers right now.
Mm-hmm.
The left won't. I don't know how we can do that. We're not multimillionaires. We're trying to get to the point to where we can try to. We'd like to do that.
I don't know if I could deal with all that publicity and the rock star status of all the teenagers watching and wanting to. No, it's joking. We can wake up some minds, is what you're talking about, right?
I would love to have an opportunity, and there comes great responsibility with that. I pray on this stuff. I think hard about it. I would never push or direct one of my kids down a real stupid path. I would, get educated, get informed, debate me. I would teach these kids, challenge me. Don't come in with just because.
And we're teaching the young. What would be awesome is to teach them this whole. Don't take what we say to be 100% truth. Watch everything you want. Watch everybody you can. Read everything you can, but believe none of it until you can kind of verify, because that's the other narrative of Chris Cuomo or CNN. These declassified emails that came out of the politicians lying, don't read them. You're just going to be confused. Come over here. I'll tell you what they mean. That is scarier.
The public don't have a right to them, but he does as a news anchor.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my geez. You're above me then.
Right.
We're all equal. We're all the same. No one man above another. That's a lie. I'm above you.
You didn't go to school to learn how to trick people.
He gets his, You didn't go to CIA propaganda school, did you? He gets out that whiteboard and he'll tell you, today we got to break down the word the. Your meaning of the is different than mine. I'm going to tell you what the is, and he has to tell you before he goes into his show what his words are meaning today.
And it works.
It's
working,
garbage.
and that should scare the hell out of everybody.
It really is. It's like
People
they
don't
change.
think about it.
Subliminally, we've talked about that.
And they do this on a weekly basis with Trump's being racist today. He's talking about the border again. Let's tune in. And they tune in, and Trump's like, I want sovereignty. If you're going to be here, you need to do it properly. And then they cut back. See, he's racist.
Right.
And they just trained you because they said, this is what racism is.
Right.
And then they show you what they want racism to be.
When in fact,
they're trying to rewrite the language.
Talking about, it's like, oh my God, it's if you beat.
Isn't it?
I've trained dogs this way.
9/11. Did you not witness buildings explode? Because when a building just decides to give out, it doesn't just crumble into a million dust particles.
It's really weird that happened.
So they're able to tell you, the building is on fire. It's probably going to fall because of all the structural engineering and the fires from the jet fuel, of course. So let's watch it here. And then they hit the button, but they were talking the whole time to retrain you on the fly.
And wasn't it
That's very
amazing? Beautiful, almost from an engineering standpoint, how they collapsed directly on top of
its own
themselves.
footprint.
It didn't fall over. If you got hit from and I don't care what expert you put in front of me, I'm going to call you a lying son of a bitch. I'm sorry for the language. I'm sorry to get defensive, but we have pounded this until it is dead horse. There's no way two buildings identically built, hit in different angles, fell exactly the same pancake fashion. Well, the top floor gave out and it gave up to the pancake. I understand that philosophy.
Yeah.
That's what a demolition engineer does. That's what
take out columns.
Right.
Two.
And don't tell me that in Great Britain there was a 47-story building that burnt for 17 days with office furniture and paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they're doing with it now? It's been rebuilt. The iron was still there. They just remodeled it. It never cut.
They had to get new wood and walls up
and office supplies. But you cannot convince me. And if you were able to be convinced that, man.
So if you sit there and listen to the people who are like, well, Scott, the reason Tower 1 and 2 fell is because planes hit them. And they'll give you all these reasons, even though they're not structural engineers or anything, but they heard enough from CNN. And they'll tell you, the plane hit it rocked the building a little bit, then the jet fuel got so hot that it did all this. And that's what you witnessed. And it's like, okay, so you just tried to reteach me on the fly. I get it. 1 building, 2 building. What about that third one? Building 7 at 5 o'clock that night that fell on its own footprint. No plane, no jet fuel.
Well, there were 2 pieces of paper that fell on it burning. Massive heat. Massive.
And that one fell on its own footprint as well. So it's almost like, was maybe that third plane that went down in Pennsylvania maybe supposed to hit that building? And then you hit the button, but the plane never made it because in your lie, things went wrong. Patriot stood up
and then
on
later
the
that night, and they effed up so bad they should have just detonated at the same time. Because later that night they hear.
They were still trying to go with full effect. They were still trying to have the 3 buildings fall by planes. So
that giant
explosion. They hit that first one. They hit that second one. Somebody's like, "Man, you should have just dropped 7 since we don't have a third plane in the sky anymore."
Well, later we'll tell them that's a 25,000-gallon gas tank that somebody left buried 150 years ago that blew up.
Things went wrong during our production at the Patriot Fest too. So I can understand how their production got railed off course a little bit. Damn them Patriots on that plane. That was probably the truest story of ever. That Patriots did stand up on that plane that day.
It makes me sick to my stomach, and at the same time scared to death because I could not imagine being in that situation. You're going down. You might as well.
Yeah, Building 7. I've seen it too. Folks are talking like I see the explosions happening before the building falls. And then all the talk on the radio, they're going to pull it. They're going to pull it. You don't pull something unless you have it rigged. And
well, Trump was explaining about. He goes, "Look, I know about building. I've been building buildings forever. That was the strongest way to build a building there is. When you have the steel on the outside, all those,
steel skeleton.
It can't go down like that unless it has explosives going down, like Mike explained, and you can see them too."
You can see the flash in the windows.
And shame on them. And you know what? I hope one day we get to the bottom of it, because if you guys are like me, it's like a train wreck. I watch that stuff. I'm looking for new information and videos on it all the time. But when you hear the recordings of the people on the plane saying goodbyes, and then when you hear them fighting, and you hear people on the top floors screaming up, "We're fathers. We have children, and we're too young to die." And what are we?
We should. You know, we should do before we go.
That should bring up so much anger. We just march on whoever the F did it.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna find the guy that created the whole narrative in 2 minutes for 9/11. Remember the Harley Davidson guy shirt?
That guy.
Oh yeah.
Random guy off street that just knew it all. And here's how it works with.
It just happened to be passing by too.
The guy just graduated from CIA school last week. Before this, he wasn't real good, but no, they like, "Oh, random guy, a Harley shirt. Hey, what do you know?" And he's like, "Okay, I saw the whole thing, start to finish." Him saying that gets the attention of the people at home to be like, "Well, shut up. This guy saw it all, start to finish." He said. So you're gonna really be drawing in with that. Listen to me. I saw it from start to finish.
There I was.
I found myself staring out the window. So he did. And 9/11, Harley Davidson. I think it was a Harley Davidson shirt.
I ride Harley, and I'm telling you, that guy offends me.
It's probably was scrubbed from the internet at this point.
It was so amazing that an expert witness was right there. That was a glorified engineer. It's almost as amazing as finding a couple of IDs in a pile of shit that just melted steel and human bone, but plastic ID. Oh, hey, stop everybody. Look what I found. His name is Ahmad, blah, blah, blah.
Well, they say this guy was at like the Las Vegas or L.A. shooting at the airport, and he was again. He's like, I was out on the tarmac. I didn't have my ID. Like the story for that one's real crazy because like, wait a minute, who gets through the airport with no ID and all the way out to the tarmac?
Correct. Can they find this guy and interview him again?
This guy's he's got bad luck. He's been at 6 natural disasters. What's it to you?
Well, he's got a beard and sunglasses and a hat on for the next event, and then
he gets real tan and
it's obvious that they're two different people. Scott, he's got a beard. The other guy didn't have a beard. Oh God,
here we go.
Lower Manhattan, Rick. Well, John, we're on Church Street at Reed Street, for those of you familiar with Lower Manhattan, just a few blocks away from World Trade. Still thick black smoke billowing from the scene where both towers collapsed. Again, just a few blocks away from us. We were standing out here on Church Street when both towers came tumbling down, and each time there was a huge cloud of smoke and debris that came roaring down this street, and everyone literally...
Now watch the guy in the black suit right behind him here.
Yeah.
So the guy directly behind him, the black man, I believe is his handler.
Waves him in. Yeah.
Yep, it's his handler. The guy to the left, the actor, Here he is, Harley shirt. Here's his entrance.
Ran for their lives. At this point, the police have been efforting to establish a perimeter. They're trying to keep people back and make sure that no one interferes with their job, which is to try and secure the area and then get inside that World Trade Center rubble to see whether or not they can locate any survivors who may have been inside the building or just outside the building when it came tumbling down. We want to bring in Mark Walsh, who's a freelancer for Fox. You live just a few blocks away and witnessed.
Dude, I live on the 43rd floor of a building which is 5 blocks from the World Trade Center itself. I witnessed the entire thing from beginning to end.
People talk about how
keywords there, beginning to end. Listen to me. I've seen it all.
From beginning to end.
People talk about how it looked like a movie. I know when I came walking down here early this morning and saw both towers on fire and people on every street corner, it was like a movie, but you watched the planes hit the tower.
Dude, that guy's got a mask on.
I was watching with my roommate. It was approximately several minutes after the first plane had hit. I saw this plane come out of nowhere and just ream right into the side of the Twin Tower, exploding through the other side. And then I witnessed both towers collapse, one first and then the second, mostly due to structural failure because the fire was just too intense.
Wow. So I witnessed the plane come barreling through, and then it fell, mostly due to structural failure because of the gas was just too hot. Now, how in the hell would he know that within 40 minutes? I mean, this guy, geez.
He watched it melt.
Wow.
He watched the steel melt. And you know what? Bullshit. What floor was he on?
The 45th.
And
he witnessed the whole thing.
He never came. And then
5 blocks away.
Buddy, if you're in New York City in a high-rise building on 9/11, the last thing you're doing after watching the first one fall,
popcorn.
Yeah, they're not going to come after me.
I saw another one where a girl witnessed it when she had a camera. They scream, "Oh my God, what's going on? What do we do? What do we do? They're not telling me what to do on the TV."
Well, get the hell out of your high-rise building would be number one. But no, this guy bravely stuck around so he could tell us later. See, now, look where that plane, I always wondered, it got hit on a corner.
Oh, yeah.
You would think that the top of that, when it finally did fall, would collapse one direction, at least the top of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the gosh darn Titanic came apart and went opposite directions. You would think that this structure, the way it's burning and... Oh, no, it just beautifully falls upon itself, killing and destroying everything in its path.
Yeah, everything. And then people are trying to get out of building 2 after that one got hit by the plane, and they get the call like, no, stay in. All kinds of weird, stupid stuff.
The way this one went down and everything disintegrated, plus the fire burning everything that was left, they were never going to find any deck cord, any traces of anything.
I was watching with my roommate. It was approximately several minutes after the first plane had hit. I saw this plane come out of nowhere and just ream right into the side of the Twin Tower, exploding through the other side. And then I witnessed both towers collapse, one first and then the second, mostly due to structural failure because the fire was just too intense.
Obviously,
nobody asked them that.
No, somebody find that guy and have him come on the show, or at least tell me what his name is, because you're not going to ever find him again.
That was the official narrative that everyone ran with for the next 2 years.
What was his credentials?
A Fox News contributor, freelance. He's into buildings falling down. This is like the 9th one he's witnessed. He just happens to be 4 or 5 blocks away every time.
What's his name? What school did he go to? Did he finish in the top of his class, or was he like George Bush and Al Gore that kind of got through school a little bit?
Was it Kevin Walsh or Kevin Demolition or something? I don't know.
I don't know. But you would think that somebody should be able to say who he actually was. Otherwise, man, start putting me in front of the camera. I was a Navy SEAL, and there I was.
I was. I lassoed the moon, and
they fired Brian Williams for doing the same damn thing. And the country caught a Hillary lying, doing the same thing, and then they're going to use a guy like that. There I was on a tarmac, just getting torpedoed.
And mostly,
torpedoes are in the water. Oh, what I meant to say was mortar.
See, when if you do a false flag like that, like if you're planning it and and then it's like, well, then what do we do? Then we go into operation mode media, where we're using the media. We're going to, if you guys plan it out there, it happens all the time. I mean, even with that, they had the one guy talking about, my wife called me and she said all this stuff. And then when they went to court 7 years later, they found that no calls made it successfully. Right. So the guy, why did that government employee make all that up? His wife was on the plane.
To sound human,
oh my gosh,
to appeal to people, come off credible. Guys like us, we caught what he said there towards the end. Nobody asked him. He kept running with his statements like it was rehearsed, and he had to hurry up and get it out of his mouth. So
so we can get out there into the airwaves and start being part of it.
Came off uncredible, but if he were to be slow, if he had an opinion and kind of hiccuped a little or stuttered and said, "Oh man," and I was thinking about my kid that's in school, and he just slowed it down, he could have been.
It's like if we had that written down, it's like, so then what? You're asking. It's like, so after we drop the buildings down. Then we put out in the airwaves that these things fell because of heat from the planes, jet fuel, and structural failure. I like that one, structural failure. Let me write that down. And then that's what went. And then it gets to this Kevin Walsh, and that's like he's, you said last night in the mirror before, he's like, all right, he's practicing it. He's like, mostly due to structural failure.
Why was he wearing the Harley Davidson shirt?
To look normal.
To
appeal to
America. What says Americana unlike Harley Davidson? Oh my God, this guy is believable.
Listen to this guy; he's in a Harley shirt. Seriously, that's he's your average Joe. They did really well with this. Is a guy we grabbed off the street who was walking by, and
I'm offended by that. As a Harley wearing, Harley shirt wearing, Harley riding guy, don't confuse me with a highly educated engineer from New York.
Do you think that the honest journalist guy that was on the street or wasn't part of 9/11, he's there literally reporting on it, he's like that he got a phone call like, hey, we got a Fox News contributor that's going to come on down, his name's Joe, he's going to be down there in about 5, and that's a way that the deep state,
they sell it by calling him a contributor, as if he's worked for him before. But his name is Joe, and he didn't say what school or who his prom date was or what his graduating class. He didn't say any real facts other than, my name's Joe, and I'm an engineer, and I work at a button factory, and one day, you ever hear that one?
Yeah, he can be the water delivery guy over at Fox, and the one guy knows him, so he's a contributor.
Right.
He,
what makes you a contributor?
Every morning when I deliver the 5-gallon water thing, I tell the one guy a joke or something that I think about what's going on. He's like, hey, you're a pretty good contributor over here.
Woodman, walk out your door right now, grab the first person you see, bring him into the studio, and have him answer some questions, and he can be the Patriot Hour contributor. An expert on whatever the hell comes out of his mouth, and the rest of us are just going to believe it.
Yeah, hang on a minute. I got my real good buddy over here. He'll lie no matter what.
That's what we need. All right, guys, we're going to sign off. We're definitely at 2.5 hours
now. How
did
Trump know about that a year beforehand in his book? Got that?
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
How
the
can
book,
he do that?
370. Yeah, we're at 230.
A year before it happened.
A year before? No, well, the book came out 18 months before it came out, like in January of 2000, I think. So it was a good year and a half. But everyone's like, the book was probably written in '99, so or all of 2000. So there's definitely a lot of time that Trump called that out. And that's all I think it is. There was a playbook going around. People are like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have the Middle East. We're going to, and
bunch of shenanigans. That's what it is.
He was the 1%, remember? So he was in it a little group.
Oh yeah, he was in the loop. He had the money and power. You're going to get information if you wanted it. He didn't like the narrative he was hearing. I don't like that for my country. Well, you're going to have to deal with it, Mr. Trump. And he's like, no. Hold my beer.
Really? Bullshit, watch it. I'm running for president.
Hold my beer, because I don't drink.
Do you have that archive of the one I sent you the other day of the guy that was speaking about Q and who the military was? It's like a 2.5-minute segment I sent. Oh man, this was before
that's really
all
old.
of that happened. It was playing it out and it's like, oh my God, it's all coming to fruition.
Yeah, that guy did shows weekly and then ended up getting called out by Q, and now he's out of the movement. That guy that you sent.
Really?
Yeah, he's been. Well, he was on AJ a lot. Jones's show forever. He was a contributor over there. But no, early on that was great. But then Q called him out as being part of their connections, basically, folks. That's all. And it doesn't lie. Same with Alex Jones. He'll attack Q like he did, but he won't attack the evidence of what we said against him, which is some ties. Address that.
I always love how
you address that. Then we can move forward with you. Otherwise, you just need to step down from your network.
Believe me, we got sources. I got sources. Yeah,
we'll take over.
That stupid growl in his voice. I watched him for a while, but he always had his sources that he couldn't reveal. I got my sources. Yeah. Believe me, I got sources everywhere. Alex,
I talked to Q. I was golfing with him. That's a lie.
Right.
Come on, guys.
I got 14 friends that were in the Elite SEALs organization, group, and they're the ones that got up Bin Laden, and boy, just trust me. Nobody's going to take that shit firsthand.
Yeah.
He believed his own lies. He got so...
The shows are, the show's over for a lot of people. We're canceling a lot of you. Mm-hmm. We're bringing truth, and that's all we're trying to do here. We're not going to play games that we got, we have sources, and, this fourth box could be a shadow. I could have it all shadowed out and have some guy talking too. But, we choose not to play games.
We don't have time for that.
This isn't the days of our lives. It really is, but...
I'm going to go do some garage talk at least.
All right, fellas. I look for another... I'm going to be doing the RNC again, third night in a row. We're here all week. I told you guys I would, so we'll cover it tonight, and then tomorrow is the last night, so it'll be all 4 nights. I think Trump's tomorrow night. It peaks with him being there. We'll probably get a whole nother slew of great speakers tonight. Enjoy in on that live show. It's a great time. A bunch of Patriots. Make sure you share it. Scott, Woodman, thank you guys for being here. What a great show.
Loved it.
Again,
I loved it.
You guys were, saw the start to finish, and saw the whole
Full
thing.
armor of God, everybody. Full armor of God. Keep God.
I want to leave
him
them with this, Mike. Just a 90-second commercial here. It's not really a commercial. It's a couple of you have asked, and then somebody just said something earlier about you should probably, if you're going to keep getting bigger, get to the Patriot Hour Network TV show. Whatever. I'm not an Atlanta guy like that. I don't understand what you even told me other than get a TV channel or satellite channel. But I'll say this with your help, and as the numbers grow, we could do Patriot Hour Roadshow. We've talked about this, but we're not in a financial situation where just because somebody from Fort Worth or from Bogota or wherever wants us to come, we would love to come, but we're not made of gold and money. So we have no objections. Maybe get with your fellow Patriots in the area or figure it out, but we have no objections to coming. This is not something that I can keep writing checks for, or Mike can keep writing checks for. So if you have a thought or an idea, or you just want us to come to your local area and do a show with you,
we'd be happy.
We would love to do that and get you on and let you have your moment in front of the camera. We'd like to get the cable channel. I mean, this is something that we never thought would happen, but now it's happening. So now we have to take it to the next level if we can, without commercials, without advertisement, because we never want to come off that way. So in order to do that, it does take some help. You know what I'm saying. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to tell you what we need or how it should be done. I'm just letting you know if you want it.
To move forward, this is...
I'm not going to sell Nike on this show,
No. So,
that's me trying to avoid being a salesman,
No, but you're right. So on that note, we already have some people planning down in Texas, in the Dallas area, I think. Dallas, Fort Worth, or is that all in that area? For a Legion and a whole nother Patriot Fest, and I might be here really quickly before the election. So at that point, there's a lot of planning going on their end, and we're going to leave it in their laps. We're going to help, but what we would do is possibly need funds to get ourselves, whoever can go, Woodman, myself, Scott, maybe even my wife, because now we got the shirts and things, and we'll bring computers. Because if we have to bring gear, we have to bring gear. If we're going to do a proper show, or is it just one we pop off with a couple of cameras? We like Richmond. So you guys supported us for Richmond. You're always probably going to be here to support our endeavors and what you guys feel. A Patriot Fest would be one thing, but we're still looking at the next thing. We don't want to put ourselves in harm's way. We're not racing off like, fund us. We want to get to this riot. Do you see us doing that?
I'm game.
We could.
I'm gonna
put us into the battle gear. I'm going to need,
if any of you guys have connections with full
body armor and
or tactical gear of any kind,
might need a tank for a situation like that.
Something
like Alex Jones had.
I'm certainly not against, and I'm working on some things in the background, but I'm certainly not against doing just that. I'm not going to go look for trouble, but I will go help and assist where I can.
Get the truth.
This stuff doesn't come cheap, and I can't. We can't go someplace every month. Well, we could, but I can't afford to live and pay for those types of trips. So it's again, I'm not trying to come off like a salesman here. If that's a dream, of the Patriot Hour and our members, then we'll get there.
Yeah, and a way to do this is, like we said, Scott's going to be set up, Woodman's set up. I know we're all moving. This is we'll always do our shows together, but we're going to get funds. Like, we all have PayPals. We need to possibly before events get those loaded up a little bit so we can survive. Or like you said, if we're going to do something, then you're missing out on work or just the cost of it. We can't. I don't know how we can't travel.
Can't lose money and
it's got to at least be breaking even. That's the best I can do.
I can't leave for 5 to 6 days and not make any money here and go on the
only
road
spend
and
a whole bunch.
Spend money. It's kind of like retirement. You can't just keep spending without earning. So I don't know how the rest of them did it. I know a lot of guys sell out.
We don't want to end up like Bill Cooper, really bitter at the Patriots. Patriots, all they do is suck me dry. And we're not saying that. It's like, you had all my information. You had me all around the country and talk. But I've been, dwindling away. I lost my family. They hate me.
Right.
No.
I can sit in the studio and occasionally do what I do when we travel. And, I travel at least 3-4 times a year and can do the show like I've been doing.
We've had no issues up to this point. Even the Patriot Fest was great and covered. Yeah. You guys have done everything. We're just
But sometimes you got to tell people, the reason why we don't have a network channel is because we're not loaded.
Yeah,
and the reason why we're not in your face in New Orleans for the hurricane, and because those are the types of things that maybe one day we have people that do that, or maybe we are able to do that, or, because if we're the news, if people are looking at us from the news, then there you heard it from us first. Here we are hanging onto a flagpole just getting ripped off of it by the,
Yeah.
So, again, we're not ever going to become Fox News or CNN, but if it does cost to grow, and if we're excited to do it, we didn't think we were ever going to have this opportunity, so now it's time to explore the next step. But we don't want to become commercialed. You know what I mean?
No. We don't want that kind of noise. We don't want to be owned ever, and that's what happens. That's what happened when this channel was even monetized, just to make a few bucks off the ads. That I didn't find myself being like, "Hey, be cautious." I just did what I did. That's why the channel went away, because I didn't change myself. But that's what happens when you get a bunch of sponsorships. Then you find yourself like, "You better not say that. I might offend Coca-Cola."
Right.
So their hands basically up your back, and now you're a ventriloquist for it. We don't want that. We rely off the Patriots and whatever we can do moving forward. So again, I love all of you guys. Thanks for being here. Patriots, mods, thanks for holding it down. Scott,
love you guys.
See you guys soon. Later on, Woodman. Airborne, brother. All right, what a great show. We are going to conclude this one. Again, look for maybe 7:30 this evening Eastern Standard Time for the live stream.